Today's Ramble is proudly sponsored by High Point Access Limited, your one-stop shop for all your working at heights and roofing needs. Please find their details in all the links below. Thank you again to High Point Access for your continued support of the Blades Ramble.
Like and subscribe to Blades Ramble.
What is happening, Blades? And welcome back to the Blades Ramble. I am, of course, Jimmy, and this is your transfer tracker. I am back. Look at this, fancy new graphics. Did this today. It took me a lot longer than it should have done. So enjoy it while it's on screen, and then it fades. It fades away nicely. Hope you're all well. I have had a lovely holiday, thank you. My dad's ringing me now. I don't know why he'd do that, because can you hear me all right? Because otherwise, if you can, then I know he's not watching. So I'm just going to hang up on my father and probably deal with that later. So yeah, I've had a great holiday. Thank you to everybody that's been asking. Really good break. I said break. I didn't really stop thinking about Sheffield United and what is technically work now, what is my job now, which is it's still incredible. It's still a pinch yourself sort of situation. But I could not wait to get, obviously I've loved spending time with my family, and that will always be my priority, being with them. And my girls have had the best time, which has been incredible. But I have been looking forward to getting stuck back into some of the Sheffield United news and rumours. Look, we will get there on this, because I've got a little bit of news that I don't think has come out. And I've had the nod that I'm all right to share a couple of bits. So stick around for that when we get there. But before that, we're going to go through some of the Championship wheelings and dealings, whether that's actually done deals, rumoured deals. There's all sorts starting to go off now. And I'm not here to do it on my own. I'm doing it with my mate. He's bald. He's brilliant. Sally.
Bald and brilliant, that's Ali. Knows the pitch like the back of his knee. No need for hair, he's got strategy. Football genius, yeah.
That's Baldly. How's it going, my mate?
Sorry, mate. I can't.
Don't.
Hey, nearly. That's why we're late, innit, Jim?
Nowhere near. To be fair, it'll surprise everybody to learn that we struggled before I came on to get the sound right and things like that. But yeah, we're back.
A week and a half away, a week away. It happens, doesn't it?
It's the Ramble, innit? It's the Ramble. You were also supposed to have a nameplate that came up, mate, when you came on. So. Let's not leave you out. Oh, no, it's all right. I probably just placed it in the wrong place because it's not coming up anyway.
I can dip down and do it myself if you want.
Oh, I know why. It's because I put it behind your camera. You're not going to see it if it's behind your camera, are you?
Oh, no.
Look at that. A new one. And it's got your X handle as well on there, you see. So if people want to follow you on X, mate, don't know why they would, but if they want to, then...
I have no idea.
Then there it is. So, mate, what have I missed? What's been going off? What have you been up to? Listen, first and foremost, Lee hasn't been very well this week, everybody. So, hope you're feeling better, my mate. This is
mate, I'm all right.
More of a collaborative effort than it usually is, which many people will be surprised to hear. So, if we get stuff wrong,
I've added both yours on, Jim.
Have you? Yeah, thanks, mate. Yeah. If anything's wrong, then there's probably one person to blame, and it's not Lee. But we'll crack on and we'll see where we are. How are you, mate? Are you feeling any better now?
Yeah, I'm a lot better than I were at the beginning of the week, mate. Yeah, so looking forward to the weekend.
Yeah, good stuff, mate. Good stuff. Pleased to hear it. So, where do you want to start, my friend?
Well, shall we start with done deals like we normally do? Some of the big ones. We won't go through them all because there's quite a few now. Because it's about 9 days, I think, since we were last on. So it'd be a 3-hour show. I mean, we're normally 2 hours, so we don't want to be going that long because
no, we don't.
The current wife might be coming over and hitting me on the head. So,
I'm on about 4 hours sleep in the last 48. So yeah, let's not do that.
Fair enough. So we'll start with the big one, shall we? Will Lancashire, from Spurs to Middlesbrough. I mean, it's 10 million plus 10 million. When we watched him at Oxford last year, he did look like a good prospect, didn't he? He looked like he was going to be a player. Obviously came through our academy after being at Spurs Academy as a kid, I believe? Or was it Arsenal or Spurs?
It was Arsenal Academy, I think. We bought him out of Arsenal Academy or picked him up at the release, something like that. And then Spurs bought him from our academy for about £2 million, I think it was.
With a nice sell-on, hopefully, that we're going to pick up a little bit of money on this.
Yeah, I believe so. I think it's something between. I've heard everything from 15 to 20% of the profit on that deal. So while a lot of Unitedites, and obviously that's what the majority of people in here tonight will be, is are like, that's great, that's brilliant, it's a really good thing for Sheffield United. Don't lose sight of the fact that one of our divisional rivals are gaining a very good striker in this league. So Will Lancashire yet to be sort of come of age, I think, yet to come of it. But I think in a poor Oxford side, certainly back end of the season when they'd lost a lot of confidence, he was the one shining light for them, really, that sort of pulled them up and always looked a threat at the top of the pitch. And I think he's going to be a really good player for Middlesbrough. Will benefit from, I think, roughly works out at about £2 million, something like that. And that's top end if we get what we're hoping we will do, which is great for Sheffield United. We've lost parachute payments, and we need all the help we can get if we're going to get our targets as well. So it is good news for us. I'm not sort of dismissing it at all, but I think he's a very good player, and I certainly think he'll turn into a very good Championship player if people don't agree with me at the moment. So. I think it's it's an expensive but a really good pickup for Middlesbrough. You pay top dollar for strikers, don't you? And they've taken a punt on this lad, and I think it's a nice little deal, that, or a nice. Deal.
You look at him; it's 21. You know what I mean? You're buying him not just for now, for the future, and they are definitely leveling up from what they've got up front at the moment.
Can I just ask then if that is the narrative, which I'm sure it is for a lot of people, is 21, and you're not really going to lose value in players like that. Why do so many people turn their nose up at Tom Cannon when £10 million was the figure for Tom Cannon that was doing the rounds? We know it to be more of a $4 million down and then add-ons up to 7 to 10. But I think because he's been around a lot longer, he's often deemed to be, a middle of the road Championship striker and has done well at certain clubs. But he's only a couple of years older than Will Lancashire, and when we signed him, it were 18 months ago or whatever it was. Then there's not a lot of difference in it, really. So what's the difference in narrative with that Cannon won't hold his value and Lancashire will?
Well, I would actually say that Cannon was probably a better prospect at the time when you look at his goals ratio to games.
Yeah, proven in the Championship.
Apart from penalties don't count.
They don't count. They don't count to the end of the blade.
But I agree with you. Unfortunately, he's not kicked on with us yet. But I'm a bit on the fence with Tom Cannon. I'd love to see him do really well. But
I thought he looked very lively the other day.
We've seen flashes. We've seen flashes, haven't we? We've seen flashes of him.
We have.
So I'd be very happy if Tom Cannon comes good. But Lancashire, I think, is a good buy for Millwall. Obviously, plenty of money in the pockets currently. So looking to spend it. Second one, another striker, Tolai from Plymouth, who has gone to Bristol City. Now, Bristol City were looking at Don Ballard from Leyton Orient, got quoted $4 million.
Yep.
Jaden Wareham from Exeter City got quoted $2.5 million.
Yeah. And
they've gone for somebody with Championship experience with Tolai at $4 million. It's undisclosed, but it's believed to be £4 million. So I think the same as Don Ballard, really.
They've triggered his release, I think, haven't they? Whereas I think they went in at 4 for Ballard, and Leyton Orient were holding out for at least 5, I think it was. So triggering Tolai's clause obviously gets you over the line to negotiate with the player. He's obviously going to want to come and play in the Championship, being at Plymouth previously. So it's I think it's a good deal. I think it's £4 million for a striker in the Championship. We're just talking about Will Lancashire coming in for what could end up being high teens in terms of transfer figures. He's had one season in the Championship, really, Will Lancashire. He's got all the tools, don't get me wrong, but Tolai's also played in the Championship and done all right. So,
sorry, Jimmy, he hadn't. No, he played up in Scotland and then he went to National League and he made his name in League One.
With Port Vale? Of course.
Port Vale, he played League Two, 14 goals in 37. Went into League One, 1 goal in 4. And then he's in League One again with Plymouth last year, 17 in 29 and 8 assists.
Okay. So I've messed that up royally.
I thought he had. I thought he had as well.
Convinced he'd played in the Championship.
Me too.
Absolutely convinced. But either way, well, it makes it a little bit more of a risk then, doesn't it? It makes it a little bit more of a risky move than I actually thought it was. And I should know that because I've done a video on him as well, so that's a bit embarrassing. But either way, I still think £4 million, because you'd have paid it for Don Ballard. And Don Ballard, yes, he was the top scorer in League One last season.
Yeah.
But widely viewed as a very highly rated prospect, and Leyton Orient know what they've got in him because they're holding firm, aren't they?
Yeah.
So I still think it's a good deal. £4 million for a striker. You can never be too sure. We thought we had a real... we circle back to the similar sort of deals every time, but we thought we had a steal in Louis Barry last season on loan.
Yes.
And he absolutely crashed and burned, was an absolutely terrible signing, turned out to be a really poor player at Championship level, and now he finds himself toiling at the bottom of League One. So you never know what's going to happen to certain players when they step up a level.
What I will say about Tolai is, in the National League, he got 19 goals, 11 assists in 44, stepped up to League 2, 37 games, 14 goals, 8 assists, stepped up to League 1, 17 goals, 8 assists in 29. So you can see his progression. So,
yeah, you can. Yeah,
you know,
can.
£4 million
quid,
you're thinking, you can see that he's coming on, and it's probably a good gamble by him. Not an heavy gamble, if you know what I mean. It's like a risk.
And you can't forget that it's Skabala now at Bristol City, who was the Lincoln City gaffer last season, got him promoted, top of the division as champions, but obviously played against all these boys that he's signing now. So he knows who the cream of League One is, and he knows who he thinks can step up. And Tolai obviously falls into that category. So I think it's a smart bit of business. I think anyone in Championship really would be pleased to pick him up and have him part of the squad. Yeah, which usually says it's a good buy for Bristol.
So we move on to Charlton. Charlton doing business again. So they picked up Carlin Grant from West Brom on a free, and Danny McNamara, the right back from Millwall, on a free as well. McNamara wouldn't get in our team, and that's how I base it on it. Steady. Carlin Grant on his day is dangerous. I'm not a massive fan of him personally. I think he has too many down days. But again, Charlton, it's decent business for Charlton, to be quite honest.
I think it's really smart business from him. I think McNamara is a Championship player. So I think I know what you're saying, but he's come from Millwall, hasn't he? I'm second guessing myself now with everything now. But I have never minded him really. He doesn't stand out, and you're right. I mean. He certainly doesn't get in of a Sariki or anybody really that
or Doherty.
No, yeah, you're probably right. But for Charlton, who had James Bree last season and had a slot to fill there in terms of an experienced fullback that they were wanting to, and I think he started there. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure he started at Charlton. I think it's a decent pickup. I think it's another experienced pickup for a team that's trying to consolidate in the Championship. We can't forget Charlton had a season of two halves last year. They started really well, went up the league and sort of, I'm not saying they got found out because I don't think they did necessarily, but I think they bounced up through the playoffs into the Championship, were really solid. And it was Nathan Jones, like stereotype Nathan Jones, where he just shut up shop and hit you on the break, really well organised. We've all got our own opinions on Nathan Jones, but in terms of doing his job, is a successful manager. So I think McNamara is a smart pickup as they try and raise the water levels in terms of where they are as a Championship club. And Carlin Grant, I have to say, I really like this as a signing. I would have liked him at Sheffield United. We have a void to fill on that left-hand side. And I think he is a proven operator at Championship level. And you're right, he is very inconsistent, which would have fit in with us ideally, because we've got a lot of talented players that are very inconsistent. Yeah. But for somebody like Charlton, where they sometimes need a moment of magic to rescue a draw or nick a win, he is exactly the type of player that they could do with, because he is a Championship player. And I understand they're a Championship club. I don't mean to do him down with that, but when I'm saying that, I mean that he brings them up a level, I think, in terms of gives them a little bit of extra firepower. Anybody in the bottom half of the Championship, he starts for them, for me. I think he starts for the majority of sides in the bottom half of the Championship. And I agree with that.
I just
think he'd have had a chance starting for us, mate.
We haven't got a left winger. If Gus weren't fit, but he's too up and down for me. He hasn't scored double figures since 21-22. He hasn't.
If we now class him as a winger, then you wouldn't expect him to, would you?
He hasn't had double figure assists since 21-22.
But how many games has he played? Because I think he suffers with injuries a little bit, doesn't he, as well?
27 last year, 43 year before, 39 year before that, 31 year before that.
All right.
Okay. So that's statistics. Obviously, you don't know what it gives to the team as an outlet out there as well. But for me, I just think he's too up and down, Jim, in my view, personally.
Fair dues. And let us know in the comments whether you agree or disagree. I'll leave that to the viewers to decide whether Karlan Grant's a good signing for Charlton or not.
So shall we move on to Swansea, who are throwing money about at the moment?
Let's do it, mate. Let's do it.
So Swansea have signed a left winger from Zulte Waregem in Belgium for £6 million called Joseph Opoku. I'll do that one, Jim. You can do one later on for Derby.
Joseph Opoku?
Yeah, Opoku, yeah. Ghanaian international, 20-year-old, 4-year deal, under 21 international, sorry, with 12 months option as well on the end of that. So they've signed him for £6 million, which is a big outlay.
It's a huge outlay, and they've sold Galbraith, haven't they? So they've got a little bit of money.
Yeah.
And the one thing I will say about Swansea is they've done this before, where they've picked up players that not many of us have heard of. Vipotnik, I don't know how many had heard of Vipotnik before they signed him. He finished top scorer last season, so they have earned the right to be given that grace of, let's just see how he does before we judge him as a punt. If it were Watford or if it was somebody else like that that's been a little bit naive in the transfer market in times gone by, then fair enough. But I think we don't know anything about him, so we can't give anybody any insight on him or anything like that, really. But it's a wait and see job with Swansea because they've done a good job previously in the foreign agent market.
He played in the top division in Belgium last year, 27 games, 10 goal involvements, 5 each. So, a young kid, looks a prospect. But like we said, we'll have to wait and see. We'll have to see how it comes on.
£6 million for a prospect. It's just...
And he's only played, looking at this, one full season, has he? Two full seasons.
Again, I'm not gonna directly contradict myself after I've just said it, but that seems like a risky signing for the money. It's a lot of money to fork out, isn't it? But again, they might have dropped on a gem. They did with Vipotnik. I wouldn't say Galbraith were an unknown because he wasn't, but they've certainly made their money on Ethan Galbraith as well. So,
but they've got Brighton's crystal ball, haven't they, this year?
They have indeed, and this may be the first piece of that puzzle.
Exactly. And moving on to the next one that Swansea brought in. We saw him in the World Cup, New Zealand international central midfielder Elijah Just, who had a couple of nice games. He looked a decent player coming from Motherwell. £5 million from the Scottish Prem. I mean, it's a risk again, but it's that crystal ball, isn't it? Is Motherwell the team that Brighton have got part ownership in? No, it's Hearts, isn't it?
No, it's Hearts.
It's Hearts, yeah.
But they'll know all about. I mean, they know about this through the scouting system anyway, but obviously with them having a team in Scotland, they'll know all about the SPL, you would have thought. On the naked eye, I thought it was an okay player. I thought he did. People are saying he played really well in the World Cup. I saw him a couple of times in World Cup. I thought it were okay, but nothing more. And for £5 million, I just wonder if, again, I'll have to circle back to my Swansea point about you've got to let him see how it plays out, I suppose, but I do think they've overpaid a little bit, just on my first glance at what this player's about. So nobody had really been talking about him before this, from what I remember. He's come out, he's had a couple of decent games, okay to decent games in the World Cup, which is obviously a huge stage, but even in the poorest teams, somebody's going to get possession of the ball and might look all right in one or two phases. So I'm not convinced. I'm certainly not looking at these signings, and this is, I suppose, pertinent to a lot of the business that we'll talk about, and saying, I wish it were United. I wish United had been in for these boys. Because, look, we need a central midfielder, particularly if Sidipek goes, which we all anticipate. But I think we need a certain type of centre midfielder. I don't think it's somebody, I think it was Maury mentioned in Platinum Chat that Alan Brown's available, or somebody had mentioned that Alan Brown's available on loan from Sunderland. Went on loan to Borough last season, did well. Good player. like him, but is he different from what we've got? Really? Definitely now that we've got Rothwell, would we go for Alan Brown? I'm not sure we would. If we didn't have Joe Rothwell, bring him in. I think he's probably a slightly better player than Joe Rothwell, but too similar. We need something else now. So I think when we look at these signings, Will Lankshire's an outlier because we're not going to spend that sort of money on a centre forward. Of course, we'd like him in the squad. A lot of Championship clubs would. But I'm not looking at things and thinking Sheffield United have really missed out on that deal. It's not like somebody's signed Harry Souttar and we're all kicking ourselves because they've beaten us to him. I think at the moment, certainly for the deals that we've mentioned, and there might be some rumours that we come on to that fall into this category, but I don't think we have missed out yet on anybody, really, personally.
I agree with that, to be fair. Well, there's nobody really that is in our price range that you'd think.
Yeah, agreed.
You know what I mean? We could do with that.
Yeah.
So we'll move on to Millwall. Millwall have signed a centre-back called Elkan Baggott from Ipswich for £1 million. He's hardly played 18 games in League One for Luton. He's played 8 games. Sorry, he's played 2 games in the FA Cup for Ipswich. Looks just like a young lad, 23, big, 6'4", 6'5", centre half. Indonesian international, 27 games, but again, nothing about him because he's not really come onto the radar of anybody. 18 games in League One in 24-25 for Luton. 14 games for Bristol Rovers, 23-24, and that's really it, to be quite honest. So,
how old is he, did you say?
He's 23. So yet to play in the Championship.
Low risk, isn't it? Low risk for
£1 million.
Squad rotation, yeah.
And Millwall do pick up some decent players like this, don't they? That you've never heard of, and they pull them in. So that's Elkan Baggott. So we'll move on to Derby County. Derby County have brought in a left winger called Philip Bilbija from Paderborn. Looking at him, he has played in the second division quite a lot. Done well in the second division in Germany. 15 goals, 29 in 29 games, 2 assists, 9 goals, 9 assists in 33. Looks a prospect, 26-year-old. Again, just working off stats, Jim. It looks okay, and for a free transfer, why not?
Absolutely, yeah. It's they've lost. Did you say left wing?
Left wing.
So those numbers are decent, aren't they? We obviously you've got to recognise the level. We don't know what the Bundesliga 2 is like as a division.
Cienza came from Bundesliga 2.
Yeah, there's always anomalies, isn't there?
But it could be another Cienza. It could be a bust, couldn't it?
It could be. That's absolutely right. What are they losing is right. They've lost. Brember and Diaz has gone back to Southampton now. He was on their left wing last season. Does this kid come straight in, or is he just going to be an option for them? Sheffield United are looking at Rabbi Matondo. That might not blow people's socks off, but he could come in and do a job for us. Or it could also be padding out the squad a little bit and having a decent bit of pace to come off the bench with 20 minutes to go. So we don't, without knowing Derby's thought process around this player, how highly they rate him, and certainly we don't know enough about him, it's hard to judge. But for a free, you can't. For somebody with decent stats and a punt, I don't mind it at all.
So Bolton again have brought in another defender. Really pumping these defenders in at the moment.
They are.
Is a right back called Gaika Larrazabal, playing at Casapia in the top division in Portugal. Again, 28-year-old right back is a 28-year-old right back with Spanish descent. It's as much as I know. It's just statistics. Again, free transfer. It's low risk for Bolton, isn't it? It's low risk for Bolton. Yeah, exactly. Moving on to Pompey, a couple of ones that we've been talking about for the last few weeks. Actually, they've got them in now. Marko Milovanovic, centre forward. I believe he's a big lad. I believe this one is this the tall lad. Yeah, nearly 2 meters tall, 197, so 6'6". Brought him in from, looking at the paperwork, Almeria in Spain. Looks okay, to be quite honest. And also, they brought in a goalkeeper called Daniel Bielica from NAC Breda in Holland for 500k. So front and back. So they must be looking at needs. Who is their keeper, by the way? Do we know?
No, you'll have to remind me. Pompey keeper last season. But I find it really interesting. Obviously, we've been talking about the big centre forward for some time, and that's a statement by Pompey. I think they've paid a fair bit of money for him as well, haven't they? So I think that'll be really interesting to see how he goes. But more than that, obviously we've mentioned just a few now straight away. How many Championship clubs are dipping into the foreign market, which seems so far away from what they've done previously as a collective, really. So I'm more intrigued than anything else to see how it goes, because we're not talking about going foreign because they're cheaper, because we're looking at deals for 5-6 million quid for some of these players. Swansea's dropping, and I think Pompey have dropped something similar for this big lad. So
undisclosed, but it's saying about 3 million quid.
Oh well, that's cheaper than I thought. Then
it's not bad.
But still, it's not.
Bad.
Yeah, it's not to be sniffed at, is it? So it's interesting. It's interesting because Sheffield United obviously tried this with a very poor data model, and sometimes if you've got better kit, then it might help you out. But ours has been really poor, and we're looking at shifting out the last of AI signings now if we can. So it doesn't work for everybody. I would always be slightly sceptical with systems that are unproven. The one thing you'd say about Swansea is, like you've already mentioned, this season they have the keys to Brighton's model. So you'd trust that model, you'd trust that scouting team who brought in players like Vipotnik and Galbraith and other players that have come through Swansea as well in recent history. So some teams you'd trust to go well in foreign market, and you'd say give them a chance. Other teams you'd say wait and see how it pans out and judge them then. So
not prolific. He is not prolific at all, but we'll wait and see. Won't the English football might suit him?
It might do, mate. It might do. It might just be a big horrible lump up front, or they try and get players in and around him. So
well, we've had a few of them, haven't we?
We have.
In time, let's be quite honest. So we'll move on to QPR, who have brought in Tariq Lamptey, who burst through at Chelsea, got signed to Brighton. Unfortunately, I think he's had 2 cruciates since then. Looked a really good talent, didn't he, when he broke through? Unfortunately, he's stalled. Not played a lot of games in the last few years. Signed on a free. Depends on the package they send him, really. I'd be worried about it. You know he's got talent, but you've got to be worried about his injury record, haven't you?
It's first I've commented on this, really, I think, because I wanted to sit back because I knew the reaction would be, wow, how did QPR get that done? Because he's injury prone. That's how they've got it done. And if he was fit, he'd likely be playing, probably bottom end, but he'd likely be playing in the Premier League or in a top division like he came from. It's really unfortunate. On a human level, you hope for the lad. And I don't, I'm no skin in fight with QPR. I want us to finish above them, and that's about it. But you hope that he can kick on and get his career back on track. Of course you do. But I'm never sure. We've seen it so many times at Sheffield United. Tom Davies being the absolute obvious one, but probably the more relevant one would be Reece Norrington-Davies, who was a really promising player for us, not to the same level of Tariq Lamptey, but really promising player for us. People forget he was on the verge of like an £11 million move to Leicester at the time, did his cruciate, and has come back, and he's not the same player. And that I get no pleasure in saying that, but he's a bit of a shadow of the player that we saw pre-injury, and this is the effect it can have. And I don't for 1 minute think that teams haven't cast their eye over Tariq Lamptey and either given him a thorough medical and thought it's not for us worth risking, or he's just not been up to the same levels. So fair play to QPR for picking up what has been a quality player. And again, like I say, I hope he can recapture that form somewhere down the line. I hope it's not against Sheffield United, but I hope he can go on and kick on and still have a really good career. But I wouldn't be absolutely buzzing about it. If this was Sheffield United signing him, you're optimistic. You want to always think, it'll be great if we can. But we've had so many of those players. I think the majority of players would be saying, it's another crock that we're bringing in and gambling on, because we've been stung by these before, and it can be a bit of a money pit. So
can I give you his history? Is that his injury history? I'll not tell the individual injuries, but seasons. Season 2021, he missed 36 games. Season 21-22, he missed 1. 22-23, he missed 20. 23-24, he missed 24. 24-25, he missed 15. 25-26, he missed 52.
So out all season last year.
All season. And he's half a season 3 times.
And
it's a risk, isn't it? It's a massive risk. It's a shame for kids.
It's Tom Davies numbers, isn't it?
Yeah.
Tom Davies numbers. So
it's prime Sheffield United target, weren't it?
Yeah, he is.
He must have
He is,
been.
but he won't be cheap either because his reputation when he's fit is strong, a bit like Tom Davies. So we were said to be paying Tom Davies around 30 bags a week. So if we're paying him £30,000 a week, and you were doing the maths, it works out being an awful lot of money per minute that they're on the field. It won't surprise me if QPR are paying him a similar amount in terms of what he'll command, maybe 25. It's an expensive deal for somebody and it's a risk because of his injury history.
Definitely. And we've got one out as well at QPR. The centre forward, Zan Chelar. He has gone to Ball. He was on loan at Dusseldorf last year, Fortuna Dusseldorf, came back, and they've shipped him out for £1.5 million. So he's left. Don't know much about him, really, to be quite honest. His stats
I remember him. He's
not massive.
No, a very run-of-the-mill, sort of very ordinary player, to be honest, and didn't really kick on at QPR. No surprise he's moved. He's one of the... I'm surprised that I do remember him, but he
didn't score last season in the Bundesliga. Second division of the Bundesliga.
Yeah.
Didn't score in the Championship this season. Only scored 2 in the Champ last season. So is he even a Championship striker, to be quite honest?
No.
So QPR are probably happy to get rid of him.
I don't think he played a lot of minutes today, to be fair.
No.
He's not.
Again, this is a gamble gone wrong, isn't it? Gamble gone wrong where some can, some can't.
For every Potnik, you've got about 5 or 6 of these, haven't you?
So let's go to Birmingham City, who must be overjoyed with their new loan signing from Brighton. Yet again, James Beadle. Jeremy is back. Fantastic. Jim, do you want to take this one? I'll let you take this one.
I don't get it. I do get it, but if I'm a Birmingham fan, I'm absolutely pulling my hair out. So I don't want to get go down the wrong path with Birmingham fans because I think they're a good club. I think they're a good fan base, and I think they've sort of crept under the radar a little bit with Wrexham stealing all the headlines. And we've talked about this before where Wrexham become the story. But Birmingham have also had significant investment and are having a go in the Championship. So they've got money to spend. It must be a little bit more limited this season because the reason for signing Beadle, or the reason given for signing Beadle on loan, is because they wanted a lone goalkeeper so that they could spend more higher up the pitch. Well, if you've got funds that are just pouring out here, then that's not really a concern. So they are trying to be a little bit more cute with what they're doing because they did splash a bit of money last season. I think Beadle is an average to poor Championship goalkeeper. He's young. He comes from a good academy, obviously, and that carries him way too far for me in terms of people's thoughts on him. I think I just don't rate him. I think we'll probably come on to it. Kyogo's gone now, hasn't he? So he was a £10 million signing for him that has allegedly gone for around £1 million, although it's undisclosed. They signed
it is. They reckon $1 million for him and $3 million for Wagner, who's gone as well, the centre half.
Oh yeah. Oh, apparently didn't want to go, but obviously that's another bit of business that didn't work out for him. They signed Jack Robinson, which is an appalling signing. Paying money for Jack Robinson is appalling.
Coming back in it.
Don't. I can't deal with that. And then, and I know this to be right, they've outbid us because we were deep in talks with Dale Fry. They've usurped us and offered him more money, which teams will do to Sheffield United this season because we have to be balanced in how we're doing things. Yep. They've chucked a load of money at Dale Fry, and fair play to him. That's part of the game. He's agreed to go to Birmingham, and he's injured already, from what I understand. Yep. So there are some really poor bits of business that, and I have to say, you've got to look at the manager. You've got to look at the manager in terms of what he's putting together there because, yes, he did a great job for him in League One. They absolutely walked it, but they had a Championship team for the majority of it. So, a lot of managers, a lot of okay managers should have won that league. So
did they finish behind us last year as well?
No, they finished 11th. I think they finished
just in front,
something like that, just above us, but in the same sort of area. Yeah. I anticipate that they'll have another good season, but at the moment, with Davis in charge, I don't fancy him for a playoff push. And it doesn't mean they haven't got the potential to do that and kick on and go for it, because they have. But I'll put them in a similar bracket to us and other sides like that are pushing for those playoffs this season. I just don't think they're ready. I don't think we're ready either yet, but I fancy us to be more ready come start at season. But I think if you're a Birmingham fan, I'd be pulling my hair out now with some of the dealings that have gone off over the last 12 months or so at that club.
So we'll move on to Watford because I'm going to talk about Wagner and Furuhashi Kyogo.
From the sublime to the ridiculous.
We've covered that. So Watford, surprisingly, the gift that keeps giving, they've signed 3 players from Udinese. Can you believe it?
Just pass me that brown envelope under the table. Unbelievable.
Well, they're just moving money, aren't they? They're just moving money about.
It's crazy.
So they've signed a right back, Omar Traore. They have signed a centre forward, Ika Bravo, and they've signed Kierumgaard that they had last season, wasn't he? He was the Kierumgaard, the centre forward. So they've signed him on a full-time deal.
And Cech Batadze has gone to Udinese.
Yeah,
it's a joke. You shouldn't be allowed to do it. You should not be allowed to do it.
It is feeder teams, isn't it?
It is. But like,
who's the feeder?
Yeah. They're just. It doesn't sit right with me. Is what I should probably say. Look, Sheffield United have been in a similar model, which is why we're in sort of a position to comment a little bit. We never really benefited from it. All we did was send Koulibaly on loan to Beershot. He played well for Beershot and never did anything at Sheffield United when he came back. But what should be happening is you're either doing that and developing your own players and sort of bringing them on as men as well as anything else, and sort of bringing them back as more seasoned pros. Or,
as Man City do and as Man United do.
Absolutely right. Or you do scour their academy and you look at what they've got coming through, and maybe their top goal scorer, you might want to pluck him out of there, but not at the expense of that club. I don't know what Watford have paid for these Udinese players, and I don't know what Udinese paid for Cech Batadze because they're all undisclosed now. So I don't want to sort of say there's any wrongdoing because there might not be. It might have been fair prices at the market rate, but I'm not. It just doesn't. It sits a little bit uncomfortably with me. This, and Watford fans. I talked about Birmingham fans pulling their hair out. I really feel for Watford fans because what sort of identity have they got as a club? I think they're laughed at by the majority of neutrals because they are seen as so chaotic as a club and no loyalty to the manager or anything like that because everybody jokes that it's 3 or 4 managers a season for Watford. What kind of relationship can you build with the club or the players if you're a fan when there's always that turnover? It's, Imran Luzer's now said to be going. Iran Kunda will likely leave as well if they get the right sort of money. I feel for him, and I think, and I've said this before, I think it's going to go wrong for Watford quite catastrophically at some point, and I think it might be this season if they don't get their act together.
I think they're a bottom 6 team, aren't they, at the moment? Looking from the outside in.
Yeah, I do.
They've also got rid of the centre forward Semedo. He's gone to Alverca in Portugal. Deli Bashiru, he's gone to Aris Salonika for 1.3 million. So 2 forwards in, 1 out.
Got some good players, Watford. Got some good players, but sprinkled in with a load of not very impressive players as well. And then the manager, sometimes it's a crap manager who nobody's ever heard of, and sometimes they parachute somebody in who does really well for them and pulls them out of trouble. I think the luck's going to run out at some stage, and maybe Pozzo family gets bored and moves on at some stage, but I think it must be difficult for Watford fans to stomach, to be honest.
Yeah, totally agree, mate. Totally agree. But, they are what they are. I'm glad it's not us. It's not us. That's all I will say. And I think most teams in this league will be saying the same thing.
Yeah.
So we'll move to the three big outs, really, that have happened since you've been away and we've been off. The first one, West Ham, Crescencio Somerville, gone to Al Hilal of all places. Don't get it, young kid.
Oh, I do.
Al Hilal. It's money, isn't it? It's just money because you can't be buzzing to go and play in that league.
Right. This is the question, though, isn't it? And this is
24, Jim. He's 24.
So what? I understand what you're saying. But he's got the opportunity for generational wealth for his family. If somebody's saying to you, you played rugby, didn't you?
Yes.
So if somebody said to you, you can come and play in Super League, and you can be in one of the top teams in Super League, whoever that might be. I don't know, Rhinos or something like that.
It's not Widnes who I support.
Okay, Widnes. So, go on then. Or you can play for Widnes. You can play for whoever you want domestically, and we'll give you what is a very good wage. A very good wage that would see you in your playing career probably top out and not really have to work again once you retire, which is all really as a professional sportsman you can hope for.
Yeah.
Or you get an offer from Saudi Rugby League that's just opened up that says, actually, Lee, we'll pay you 10 times what you were going to get playing for Widnes.
And I know
of course you are.
Because it's a job.
Exactly,
it's a career.
Mate.
It's a job.
It's a shame for the kid's talent and where he could be. Don't get me wrong. I don't think Somerville is one of these players that, it could be the next, so-and-so. I think he's a decent to good Premier League player.
Agreed.
To get an offer like that, I don't begrudge anybody because we'd all do it. We'd go and earn 5, 6, 7, 10 times what we could earn. If somebody offered me a job on a podcast and said, you can come and work and talk about Sheffield United from Saudi and we'll pay you 10 times more money than you get, then you'd have to consider it, wouldn't you? Of course you would.
Yeah, you put me in my place there, Jim. You're right. I'd have gone as well. No, it's right. It is right.
Because I think people will rightly push back on me because there's that romanticism of, well, you should want to be the best at your sport and play at the best level you can. And I understand that too. And that is always a driver because that's what you work for, to become the best player you can be. But this is also a reward for that hard work that he's put in.
You don't know what he's come from either, do you?
Exactly.
You don't know his upbringing.
Exactly.
So it's fair.
His great grandkids will never have to work a day in their lives.
Mine would. Anyway.
Sorry, mate. Go on.
So moving on to Burnley, who have lost their rock at the back, Esteve, who very good player when he was in the Championship last time. This is a big loss for them at centre half in this league because he was outstanding last time. He's gone to Leipzig, 27.3 million. So it's a good chunk of change, and they do need the money, obviously, because the leverage buyouts, it looks like it's time to pay, and they're having to pay.
Yeah, it's we talk about Somerville going, and obviously that's Fernandez gone from West Ham as well, and you think that significantly weakens them. And obviously losing 2 players of that quality will weaken them. But the money they've brought in and keeping Jared Bowen, I think makes West Ham favourites for this division undoubtedly. In terms of they've now sort of steadied the ship financially, we think. They can have a proper look now at where they want to strengthen. They've got Jared Bowen, who's got to be the best player in the division. Yeah. And then you look at Burnley, who will also need to bring in significant amounts of cash, but don't have the quality and depth. They've lost Jadon Anthony. They've lost Esteve. They will lose more players. And you just wonder where they end up, really, in terms of, I still think they'll be strong. And I wouldn't want to see them become a Luton or a Leicester or anything like that, because fundamentally Burnley have always been a hard-working, very similar to Sheffield United. Yeah. They had that flirtatious season with or couple of seasons with Company where they played great football, which none of them will have been used to, which we've never seen at Sheffield United either. But ultimately, fundamentally, they're a hard-working town that the football club is sort of similar to the people, really, in terms of they just want people to turn up and graft. Yeah. That doesn't always come with the quality needed. So I'm really keen to see, because it's an unknown quantity with this new manager, what they go for. You've got to think, because so many people turned it down, there has been a unpopular remit behind the scenes that's been issued, whether that's sell your best players and work with what you've got, or try and bring the youth through, or we can only buy young, or we can only buy at a certain level. It doesn't all seem harmonious there at the minute. Obviously, that's just outside looking in. Any Burnley fans in chat can let us know what they think about that. But what are your thoughts, mate, on the Burnley situation? Losing Esteve, who were one of the best defenders in the league last time we were here. It were always going to go, but what do they do now? I know they've been linked with Ronnie Edwards, but he's going to cost a pretty penny to get him out of QPR.
Yeah, he is.
What's your thoughts, mate?
Well, they've lost 13 players since the end of last season. 2 of the loans have gone back and 11 have gone out. Esteve, Jadon Anthony, Ugochukwu, has gone to Galatasaray. Dubravka left on a free. Chuama went to Coventry last week for a good chunk of change as well. Yeah. And then a couple of young kids going out. Hartman went away on loan to Espanyol.
And said it's so much better than Burnley.
Adewemi's gone to Hertha Berlin. So there's a lot of players going out of this team, and you're not hearing people coming in.
Who is it they've signed?
They have signed so far Florentino, that defensive midfielder from Benfica, Luke Castell from Espanyol B, 19-year-old kid, and that is it.
They've signed somebody, I don't know whether it's that last one that you've just said, who Hull are wanting to buy for £5 million less than Burnley have just paid for him, because they know Burnley need the money, and Hull are trying to take advantage, and Burnley are open to a sale. So
is that Florentino that they had on loan last year?
Might be, yeah. Might be him. So I can't remember which one it was, but that tells me they're in all kinds of trouble. So
yeah.
A lot of work to do at Burnley, I think, and I think that might put them on more of a level playing field with your Middlesbroughs and good teams in this division. But I think it takes them out of that top bracket with Wolves and West Ham at the moment. So
agree.
I'm not saying they can't get back into it with some smart transfer business, because they're probably the third in the division at the moment. But it's not going to be an easy season for Burnley, this at all, to turn it around.
And then speaking of Wolves, the last one is an out. It's João Gomez, the centre midfielder, on a Villa, 38 million quid. Big money for Wolves, clearing the decks a little bit from big earners.
Good player,
trying to look after themselves in the champ, because of basically they've got to cut the cloth, haven't they? Even though they've got a bit of money coming in and this, that, and they've still got to cut the cloth. So he's now gone on a 5-year deal to Villa. Looked a good player last year for a poor side.
That'll sting as well, him going to Villa, but it's no move for him. He'll probably stay where he's been staying and all this sort of stuff. But it's a big loss for him. It's a bit like Burnley with Esteve, I suppose. It's an anticipated loss, a bit like West Ham with Somerville and Fernandes. But this is what happens when you go down into it. You've got to balance the books out. Your best players usually leave. Obviously, Jared Bowen's a bit of an exception for that. But yeah, Wolves obviously already made some big ticket signings, if not big money signings. Raul Jimenez,
big names.
Raul Jimenez is going to cost an absolute fortune, as will Kieran Trippier as well. They've had to give him, decent length deals as well to get him in and make him sign. So they've committed, but it feels a little bit like now or never for Wolves. Whereas, it's going to be like that anyway. Where you don't want to be in the Championship more than a season, but it feels like Raul Jimenez is not going to be better next season than he will be this coming season. Same with Kieran Trippier. You're not going to get a better player out of him next year than you will this. So every year your chances lessen a little bit. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, it's a big loss for Wolves, but not one they would have expected, to be fair.
And that's all the transfers done for now, Jim. Do you want to go through some comments? By the way,
mate.
How did you go on with your weight loss thing on holiday? How did it go? All right.
What a boy. Yeah, it went absolutely brilliant. Thank you, mate. And I'm going to be recording a new one of these because I'm conscious of how it's been repeated several times. I've come back. Finn told me not to weigh. Finn's my personal trainer. Told me not to weigh myself when I came back. I did anyway. Maintained.
Well done, mate.
Not put any weight on. Maintained. I was trying to be sensible. Went in gym a couple of times. Wasn't absolutely pigging out because I don't want to undo all my progress. But yeah,
were your favourite machine there, Jim? Vending machine.
It would have been my favourite machine if they were stocking these. I am currently on my own fitness journey. I've been trying to learn about what I should be doing, what I shouldn't be doing. Oxford Natural offer you 2 types of supplement, a day and a nighttime supplement. Optimum Day helps with energy, cravings, just keeping you on track day to day. Their Optimum Night, well, that's more about recovery, sleep, and letting your body reset properly. Again, something I really struggle with. Michael Owens lost 35 pounds being on this. Robbie Lyle, AFTV and friend of the channel, over 80 pounds gone. We've also got examples like Anita, an immigration lawyer who's lost 44 pounds. Linda, a legal executive, she's lost 50 pounds. Next on that list is going to be me. I am taking part in their weight loss program. If you want to follow that, that's over on the other side on our YouTube channel. If you want to go and subscribe over there, follow that journey that I'm doing with Dr. Andre and Oxford Natural. So if you're like me and you're sitting here thinking, I need to sort myself out, it might be worth a look. Scan the QR code, the link's in the description below, and make sure you use the code BR70 for up to 70% off your first order. But thank you to Oxford Natural for supporting the Blades Ramble. Thank you to Oxford Natural. brilliant support for our channel.
What people can't see behind is you were saying that word for word in the back as it went on, doing the same actions as well. I was watching you.
I've done that. I've seen it. I've seen it a lot. As have people, and I thank everybody that's jumped on with me, because it does help us when you are jumping on with sponsors of the channel and getting their services. It does help us out an awful lot, and I'm hearing a lot of really positive things about Oxford Natural and the journey that people are going on with it. So if you've got any stories to share, then please let me know, whether that's on screen or off. Really
people won't use it, Jim, if it's rubbish, and people are using it. So
absolutely, mate. Yeah, absolutely. So let's jump into the comments then. Jack starts us off tonight. He doesn't, because I've got to refresh my page because it's gone to sleep on me. Jack says, good evening, guys. I hope you're both well. Conflicting feelings for me at the moment. I'm really happy with the 2 signings we've made so far. However, I also feel we are moving a little slow at the minute. Suter is a game changer for us, and I'm really hoping we get him first and get the deal done. But I also think there are other areas that need attention. Still think we have a chance to get promoted, though. Yes, we will certainly be coming to Sheffield United, probably sooner rather than later. We'll talk about a few rumours in a minute, but it's a lot to talk about Sheffield United. We're not going to get too deep into it, but we will talk about it. June says, up the blades. Evening, June. Hope you're good. Dave Morwood, welcome back, Sir Jimmy and the Barber's favourite Lee. Hope the holiday was enjoyed by all. It's still hot. Up the ramble, up the blades. Like and subscribe, please. I know it's hot, but press the bell. Go on, press it now. Well said, Dave. Top man.
Well done, Dave.
Matt says, evening, gentlemen. Hope you had a good holiday, Jimmy. Buzzing for the start of the season. Also, I'll see what I can find out about the main man next week. We'll let you know if I do, Jimmy. Up the blades, up the ramble. So Matt's going to a wedding that Chris Wilder's going to be at. So he's going to be our secret, not so secret, spy in the Platinum Ramble chat. Ian says, good evening, Jimmy and Lee. Hope you're both well. Looking forward to the episode when you announce 4 new signings for the Blades. Not holding my breath. Yeah, not tonight, pal, unfortunately. Any news on Big Harry? Sounds like promising news. We'll get to it, won't we, Lee? We'll get to it. Paolo says, hi, Jimmy and Lee. It's the only stream I come on. I just pray we sign Cop legend Big Harry Suter. Looking forward to your positive EFL and Blades content. Once a blade, always a blade. Bring Suits home. Up the
There's
ramble.
A theme here from Blades, isn't there?
There is a theme. I think there's a certain player that we're all after.
Yeah.
Blaggers says, evening, Jimmy and BBL. Love that. Please keep BBL alive. The name, not the person, because I obviously want the person to be alive. Mixed emotions at the moment. Kieran Maguire has done a few videos talking about championship clubs not spending out, so we're certainly not alone in that sense. But I want the winding up petition sorted. I want a realistic statement signing. £3 to £4 million player who is playing every week. Some hope this season it's going to be meh. We need some hope this season that it's not going to be meh. Up the blades, up the ramble. We will come on to United, I promise. And it's obviously what everybody wants to talk about. I understand it. Also, did you know that Wilder's interview after Huddersfield talking about season tickets being down, around 10% have not been renewed? It's not an insignificant number. Fans need the club to make some moves. They're aware of it. That's what I took from Wilder's interview. Wasn't that season tickets were down, because we could have all anticipated that. We knew that was coming because it was such a poor season last year. It was that he acknowledged it, and I think he even brought it up, to be honest. Yep. So that's Wilder being Wilder, to be honest, for me. That's how I interpreted it. It was a nudge back to the owners to say they're down and we need to do something about it to get them back. And that is why people are now saying we need a statement signing. I think that's sort of Wilder's veiled message to the board, which he is famous for doing. So he's just...
I was speaking to a blade in the Barbers today. Yes, I do go to the Barbers. I had both of them cut, both of the hairs cut.
Yeah. Nice.
And he's not renewed, and neither has his teenage son. They're both not renewed. So, people... Last year was a hard watch at times, wasn't it? And some people have just had enough for now. Maybe they'll get an half-season ticket, but
maybe we get 3 wins on spin. Maybe we make a couple of good signings, get 3 wins on spin, and people come back and buy them again. But I don't blame anybody for not wanting to fork out the money. You were one of the ones on the last game of this. I mean, I don't think there were ever any danger that you won't renew, but. You went out on about 20 minutes, didn't you? Last game at season.
No, that was Jordan. I were a bit later.
We were half time.
I was thirsty. That's all.
Yeah. But again, it's one of them things, isn't it, where even the most seasoned of blades, and nobody's a bigger blade than anybody else, but some have sat through some real dross in years gone by, and they were fed up last season. So there is some fixing to do from Sheffield United, and Wilder's right to point it out, as are the fans.
He feels it, doesn't he?
Yeah, he
does. Because he's one of us.
Nige says, evening, Jimmy. How was the holiday? It was very good, mate. Thank you. Where's your tan? I got burnt on first day, so I kind of knackered myself up for getting a decent tan. Nothing like family time. It's the best. We're going 5 weeks to Filey at Haven. If you still have your van there, a holiday is a holiday. We sold it, mate. We sold it, but always a great time at Filey. Loads to do for kids, and that's what it's about. And it is for me anyway. Seeing kids with beaming smiles for, in Sonic were just brilliant. Sheila says, evening, Jim, looking well. Thank you, Sheila. Appreciate that. Hope you had a good holiday. Good to see ATB the other day. Hope to hear some good news from you and Lee. Make my weekend. Evening, Lee. Trust you had a good week. Well, he hasn't had the best of weeks.
It's getting better.
Yeah,
it's getting better.
Yeah, we're on the mend, really.
And Rotherham tomorrow, so we'll see how that goes tomorrow.
Right. So you're going at game, aren't you?
Yeah, me and Scratch Phil are going meeting Dave the Nose there.
Oh, sorry about that. I am doing a watch along tomorrow, so I will see anybody that's not there. Come and join me for a watch along on the Blades Ramble. Eve says, "Hello everyone. Feels normal again to see y'all. Hope you've had a good holiday, Jimmy, and good to see you, Lee. Hope you're feeling better soon. Thank you, Eve." Jack says, "We've got a sell on and a buyback and matching rights too." That's Jack Spurs. So that is from Lancashire. Got a sell on, a buyback, and matching rights. That makes total sense. It's another smart deal by Tottenham, to be honest, because
they are good, aren't they? When they sell, they are good. Some of the buys are strange since Levy's left. The amount of money they're spending on certain players, but they're very good. They've always been good when they sell players.
A bit like Man City, like to do. It's got to suit them for it to be a reasonable sale. Looking well, Jim. Loving the shirt, Lee. Don't want to seem like I'm moaning. Fingers crossed we pull some miracles out of the bag. Blaggers, don't worry, mate. Everybody, it doesn't surprise me if it's weird this, because I got slightly criticised not so long since for being a bit positive, and I don't apologise for that, really. It doesn't mean it doesn't hurt when it's going wrong. Of course it does. Yeah. But I always try and be optimistic and try and look on, well, we haven't done anything yet. And I think this is one of the times of the season that you can afford to be optimistic. Yes, we've had a poor season last year. I'm hoping that we make some decent signings. But by the same token, I don't begrudge anybody that still feels, we just talked about it, not renewing the season tickets, because fed up with club being poor, which we were last season. Wilder came back. I'm delighted he's here. But let's be right, it wasn't the turnaround we were all hoping for. It's been a much bigger job than a lot anticipated, and we're still on with that job now. We're still trying to get out the players that Ruben Sayers paid a lot of money for to come into the club, and it's set us back quite significantly. So don't worry if you're appearing negative or feeling negative, Blaggers. It's how you're feeling, mate, and that's what we want. We want people to be able to come on and give their honest opinion on how they are. Priority is Big Harry, says Paolo. Dawn says, good evening, lads. Great to see you both back. I like these streams. Thank you very much.
Cheers, Dawn.
Much appreciated. Borough want Ashley Phillips too. Yes, we would like Ashley Phillips, I think, a lot of us. We were having a discussion about this, actually. And I think we need... Jord Motson was saying... I was saying I quite like Ashley Phillips. And Jord Motson said, Harry Souttar's got to be the one, which we all acknowledge. I think Harry Souttar's everybody's main priority, but I think we need a leader at the back. And I can't argue that point. Ashley Phillips has got a really good pedigree, really good credentials for his age, but he's 21. So yes, he's been a captain. Yes, he's gone through the youth systems and been a leader in that sense. But I think what we need at the back is a seasoned professional like a Harry. There's nobody better to sort of compare it to. But if Borough want him, Borough have now got the cash and the power to go and get him. So we're not going to be in that conversation anyway. It'd be a really good signing.
Yeah, what I would say about Ashley Phillips, it'd be second prize, wouldn't he? Yes, he would. To Harry Souttar. And you wouldn't normally say that about Ashley Phillips because he's a really good footballer. But for us, he's not exactly the need we've got at the moment. We need that demonstrative leader at centre half.
We've got enough.
Who's going to bring our defence up?
We've got enough good young players with a high upside, haven't we? We've got enough of those. And, we need some seasoned professionals in there because Tanganga can't be the most senior player we've got in the back four for me. I don't think it works. Have you got some exclusives, Jim? Well, I'll come to it, pal. Don't you worry. There's some bits worth sticking around for. Bristol City want Don Ballard too. Yeah, I've heard the same, and we'll see how far they go with that. They'll have to put up the money because Leyton Orient are no mugs. They're not messing about.
Well, we've covered that a couple of times already, haven't we, in the past about Ballard? And like I said, I've got family with Leyton Orient connections, and they rate him very highly. Very, very highly.
Yeah. Evening, lads. Hope you had a good holiday, Jim, and you're feeling better, Lee. An exclusive, hopefully in the shape of a 6'6" Aussie. Up the blades, up the ramble, like and subscribe. Welcome to it, mate. Welcome back, Jimmy, mate. Says Sarah. Thank you, mate. Appreciate it. How big of a sell-on did we have on Lancashire? Will some money be coming our way? Some money will be coming our way, right? And as I said, I probably covered it before you'd asked, but or after you'd asked, between 15 and 20% of the profit, I think, is what we got. 2 mil rices. I can't say your name. Elijah Just is quality, says Jack. Fair enough. I'll take your word for it.
I'm not seeing enough on him.
Put it into the Suter fund, says Rye. The 2 million that we'll get. Jack says, I know you probably don't care, lads, but James Trafford to Leeds, how good was he in that promoted Burnley side? James Trafford to Leeds is an absolute game changer for Leeds.
He was the only goalkeeper that was better than Michael Cooper that year.
No, he wasn't. There was nobody better than Michael Cooper. But yeah, to be fair, I struggled all year to argue that Cooper were a better keeper than Trafford, and I was probably, I'm not going to say it out loud actually, but people probably know where I'm going to go with that sentence then. But James Trafford's a great goalkeeper, and he will be England's number one. And I think the fact that Leeds United can now get a goalkeeper of that calibre says where they are aiming. I've recorded a proper football today with Carl and Connor, and we did an episode on Leeds and it was my suggestion because I think they are now becoming an established Premier League club with some of the moves they are making. They've signed Harry Wilson, which I think it's a key player in a key position that they needed. And I think this goalkeeper, if they can get this deal done, I think they pull themselves away from a relegation scrap. I'm not saying there won't be. I have to look over the shoulders, but I think they are building into an established Premier League side, Jack. So, yeah, that's what I think, pal. Joseph says, hiya, Jim. Hope you're doing well. Sorry if you've spoke about it already. What do you think of QPR's business so far? Charles and Lamptey, notably. Really good. Really good. Like those two, particularly. Lamptey, we've talked about the risks that come with it. I think for a free transfer, you'd say it's a low risk, but there'll be a lot of money involved, and I'm not sure about it. But Piers Charles, automatically one of the best goalkeepers in the league here. So he's a very, very good goalkeeper. You've quietly pieced together a really good side at QPR. So
manager's just extended his contract as well, hasn't he?
Yeah, might have to look at them a little bit closer. You know, they've got Coney, they've got Burrell, they've got Ronnie Edwards. They've now got Lamptey.
If he stays.
Yeah, if he stays. They've got Lamptey if he can stay fit, which is a huge, huge if. But the goalkeeper sorted.
A far better goalkeeper now than he was last year, by the way.
Absolutely. He was useless last year. Absolutely useless. 3 goals in 3 games at a World Cup, including scoring against Belgium. You're being too harsh on just Jimbo. Maybe so. But
is Jack Spurs a New Zealand fan? Just asking. Or got shares in Motherwell?
I think he's a Swansea and Tottenham fan. Looking at that now.
Fair play. Oh yeah, Jack Spurs. Yeah, I get it.
Dave Morwood says Swansea's new midfielder, good play on words. Jimmy, just okay. Yeah, I was thinking just Jack. Why do you want to go and put stars in their eyes?
Yeah.
Why do you want to go and put stars in? Okay, sorry about that.
People switch off straight away. Then.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to keep retention up, aren't I? Suter, Cozier, who was at Bolton last season, and McCleary. Any news at all apart from rejected our loan to buy for Suter? I will come to it. Cozier Dewberry, I don't think he's on the radar. We don't need a right winger now. We've got Ramel Donovan, who will be primarily used there. I think it doesn't mean we won't bring anybody else in, but I don't think it'll be a starter like Cozier Dewberry.
It dropped off a little bit at the end of last season as well. Cozier Dewberry, good. It looked a really good player, really does. I did well through to January time, and then dropped off a little bit.
I still think he'll get a decent move. I think somebody's just recently bid about £5 million for him abroad. It might have been. I'm sure he had that on Ben HD, but Cleary has not been mentioned recently at all. Obviously, Harry Suter is the name that we all want to talk about, which I will get to. Races evening all, and welcome back, Jimmy. Thank you, my mate. One transfer we needed to bring back Suter. This would be the one that would put smiles back on Blades' faces. Up the Blades, up the Ramble. Like and subscribe. Any news on any more outgoings, lads? Hopefully we hold on to Gus. We need him for those special goals he scores like no one else. Yes, I have got some news on that, actually. Leicester just announced they're up for sale. Could this help us with Suter?
Valued about 450 mil, did I read?
Absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. Tanaka came from Bundesliga 2 also, Lee, says Jack Pearson.
That's true.
Danny says, first window I've seen us have where all rumours or looked at players at the club has kept their cards close to their chest. It's brilliant, that, by the way.
Yeah.
I absolutely love... And don't get me... I hear a lot less now than I've heard in seasons gone by. I do hear little bits, and I check before I sort of share it, because the last thing... and I've spoken about this before, I don't want to spoil any deals that Sheffield United are doing, because if we're the ones to release it and then somebody else gets wind that a player's negotiating or whatever it might be, there's no point. There's also no point in getting the fan base excited for a deal that might not happen, because I think that's irresponsible, really, in some ways as well. So I'd rather wait until it's almost there. There are things that I can tell you that have either happened already or are happening that we now know about. So we will get onto that with the Sheffield United bit. I appreciate I'm taking a lot of time getting through these comments, but we will get to the Sheffield United stuff, and there is some stuff that you'll probably want to know about. And Joe says that Serb lad for Pompey deal is 3.5, rising to 5.5. Right about Lamptey, but if he's even 60% of we saw him before his injuries, at least top half champ player in my opinion. As long as the wages aren't ridiculous, I think it's a great deal. We've been told there was at least 5 Champo teams interested in a good couple in the top 5 leagues. It doesn't surprise me. It doesn't surprise me with the history of the player. Rumours is that Lamptey's on about 17 to 19 grand a week, which is a top 5 wage at the club. That's not too bad. Not too bad, that then, to be fair. Papa Blade says, hi lads, got to get Big Harry sorted this week before others enter the race. Lancashire, 2 million bonus to put towards him. I have a feeling that Cal will be sold and Gus kept at 10 once we bring in a left winger. I don't think that'll happen, personally. Also, I'd sell Burrows 5 million. Hope that McGlinchey lad could be back up to Sam. Peck out 12 to 15 million. How much for Cal if it was to happen? Up the Blades, up the Ramble. I don't think Cal will go. I would be looking for 6 to 7 million quid for Callum O'Hare.
Yeah, it's fair, that. It's fair. Was it somebody who said the other day that he looks fast, but he's not fast at all? It's just how his legs go. He's got no pace.
It were either me or Dave. I think that. Yeah. And I think it's fair.
He's a link player, isn't he? He's a link player. Plays in the hole, just links play. He's a tidy footballer. I like him.
Good close control, low centre of gravity, can look after the ball well, but can't go past anybody.
No.
So
you'd rather have Aimer in there than him, but you'd rather have Aimer in there than most people.
Yeah, you would,
because of how talented he is. That's not a slight on O'Hare, because I think he's a very good player,
and he did well for us last season.
Very well for us.
Player of the year last year. So yeah,
he starts our press as well. He's so important to us.
Yeah, he is. I'd do anything to get Suter in. Yeah, me too. Burnley must have financial problems. Florentine Luis going to Hull, even though they just signed him this summer. That's the one we're on about.
Yeah.
Burnley had an obligation for him. Yeah, they did, but obviously now they're regretting that already. So, are you lads going to Toy Town tomorrow? Lee is. I'm not. I'm doing a watch along. Bean says, can't believe the club are having the cheek to basically beg for season tickets at the minute with the 1 out of 10 summer they've delivered. I think all this talk of a big rebuild and it's turned out to be rubbish as usual. Going into the summer, everyone knew we had 2 gaping holes, centre back and left wing. Have we addressed either? No. I told you after Derby away that basically August we'd signed a backup right back and a kid on loan. How about the club do something to make the fans renew? If you've not had one or are thinking about it, why would you renew? I bet we start the season without a centre back and left wing signing. Get a move on, Blades. You'd have said it. It's nowhere near good enough. Whenever CW says anything, you'd have said it's nowhere near good enough. Whenever CW says anything transfer related, I take it with a pinch of salt. I know we weren't going to spend loads this summer, but so far it's a joke, says Bean. Bean getting even more angry as the days and weeks go on. One of the more vociferous Blades fans to be outspoken about it, but that's why we're here. That's why we're here. Yeah. I don't discourage that. That's how he genuinely feels. I don't want him to sugarcoat because he's not being disrespectful. He's just saying it's not good enough for what we expect as a fan base.
I see his point of view, Jim. I'm sure you can.
I do.
I don't agree with it. I don't personally. I'm not at that stage, but we'd all like to see a little bit more happening, wouldn't we?
Absolutely,
we'd all like to see a bit more.
Absolutely.
But it seems to be how we've done business for the last few years now.
And it don't help that we're competing with 10 other clubs for similar types of players, and you go so far as to explain. I sometimes do my best to try and help people understand, and myself understand as well in my own head, because I'm no expert, but the complications of why transfers aren't as straightforward and things like that. But then that's taking one step forward in trying to, and people are like, okay, so I get why it could be complex and why it might not work out. But then a Middlesbrough goes and signs somebody straight away, and they might have been working on it for 2-3 weeks. I understand that, but all we see is Borough have done some business and brought in a good player, and that immediately jolts you back again and says, why aren't Sheffield United doing stuff?
You're right. The big difference, like you said as well, we're now involved with 10 teams, whereas last year, the year before, we could offer $5,000 more a week. We could offer 2 million more to a club and just take the deal off other teams, which we've done. Now we're one of them that are like a sitting duck. We've got to wait and either sell the project to the player or see what's left.
And we were doing that to players like Mark McGuinness, which, in hindsight, has been a poor move from Sheffield United. Just judging on where the manager now sees him as well, not just our opinion. Okay, Jacob says, evening, Jimmy. I'm a Blackpool fan and discovered your content through Proper Football. Love to see that, mate. Thank you for joining us. We've got 3 centre-halves out injured. I'd take McGuinness off you.
We can get 2. We can send you 2 if you want, kid.
Yeah, you can have him, Jacob, says Nige. The problem here, Jacob, is the levels in football, and I don't mean that disrespectfully. He will be on about $25,000 a week, which will blow your budget out of the water. That is where it doesn't really help anybody, because we want to get him out. He has signed a contract for another 3-4 years. Why should he not take that money? Because we wanted him to tie him down for that long for our purposes. He agreed to sign it and stay on that wage. So he's not going to go to Blackpool for $5,000 a week. Why would he? Why would we then sell him and say we're going to pay $15,000 of his wage? So Blackpool won't get anywhere near a Mark McGuinness, and it prices players like that out. He would do a job for you, undoubtedly. I think if he goes to League One, he'll probably have a really strong season. But I think we'll probably get him out this summer. But I don't think it'll be to a Blackpool, unfortunately, Jacob.
I could see him at a Watford, somebody like that, the lower end of the champ.
Well, the one I suggested was Cardiff. He's been at Cardiff before, and they're looking at selling Dylan Lawler. So if they sell him for big money and need somebody that's not going to cost them a lot in outlay, but they're a big club that can pay them sort of wages. We'll see. We'll see if out comes of that. All Therapy says, what's happened with Calvin Phillips? Very quiet on the Calvin Phillips at the moment. Was a strong rumour he's injured again, and we've not gone back in for him. That was a strong rumour that I also heard. Papa Blade says, I still think it's appropriate that someone with physio in their name is asking. I think it's appropriate that someone with the physio in the name is asking about Calvin. I reckon we get him on a similar deal in January if he's not fit before the end of August.
The last we saw, he was on a bike in a recovery program with Jack Grealish, weren't it?
Yes, he was. And didn't, you can never tell just by looking at players, but didn't look like you were booted up or anything like that. So can't be a million miles away, you'd think. Cooler King says, evening, Jimmy and Lee. I was thinking of that one of the knock-on effects of us flogging Morgan Rogers for so much is that it gives Borough, one of your rivals, a big boost this season. It certainly does, mate. It certainly does. I want Harry Souttar back. I've made some videos myself on my channel, says Will, where I made a short list with names of players I would take. Up the Blades, up the Ramble. Nice one, pal. Millwall signing Kyrell Lisby for $3 million, rising to $6 million. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. Aid says, we are raising the ceiling of the squad this summer. Last summer, we elevated the floor of the squad. The centre-back we signed is being tipped to be a top Champions League player in a few years. That's Aid, the Leeds fan. Don't disagree. Sambo says, thought we were buying a leader in Tanganga. That's not worked out as we hoped. Harry Souttar would be a good signing, but not for $10 million. I think we need a Norwood-type player. We miss that presence. We certainly do. Joe says, I don't think we thought we were signing a leader with Tanganga. I thought we were signing a good defender, and I think he is a good defender. Yeah,
he just needs a leader at the side of him.
He's been asked to be a leader, which I don't think is his natural game, and I think he's sort of struggled with that responsibility really.
But looking at him on those training videos that they put out, the Sheffield United media team, he looks a good character in the changing rooms, which we've never seen before.
That's right.
But he looks a good lad, and it looks like the lads like him as well. So that side of it, it's pretty good.
Very fair, very fair. Joe says, as you just said about leaking things early, something that might not be as known outside the QPR fan base is that Edwards was going to join in the summer, but a journo leaked it, ruined the deal, and we had to wait 6 months for him. It genuinely destroyed our early season. It's amazing, isn't it? It's amazing how stuff like that can... And I'm not saying I am big enough to impact a deal in any way. Our channel is not... We're not saying that we can influence what happens at a football club, because I don't think we can. But by putting things out into the fan base... You never know where that's going to end up and get to. We know that players watch. We know that the club watches. Yeah. So other clubs might be aware and stuff like that. So, it's just no point risking it, really.
Southampton probably watch.
Southampton definitely watch from a distance. In fact, I think I can see them over there. Disappointed with the transfers as of yet, says Chris. We have to be careful we don't get this season. If we don't get this season right, the S6 lot could be passing us next season. Looks like they're all in for promotion. Don't worry about them lot. They're useless. Those messages probably make me sound more annoyed than I am, says Bean. My main frustration is that we appear to be sitting still and rivals are spending, and the centre-back and left-wing signings were musts. I'm fine, Jimmy, I promise. I know you are, pal, but again, by the same token, you don't have to apologise for how you come across. It's how you feel, and I want you to be always comfortable in getting it out. And hopefully after the stream, you'll feel a little bit more therapeutic after doing so. I don't fully believe the club when they say that the Prince money scenario isn't affecting our transfer dealings. Surely we'd have done a deal for a fee if fees weren't affected. I disagree with that. Middlesbrough getting Aidan Morris's best mate for $2 million. They're not messing around. Who's Aidan Morris's best mate? Don't know that, Zach. And Aid, with the last comment for now, is saying, you never know if someone is a good leader until they actually become one. We were told Ampadu wasn't a leader. Very true. And I sort of spoke up quickly on Ampadu, who had only really played left centre-half for us, but he's turned into a very good holding midfielder in the Premier League. Okay, right, Lee, where are we, mate? On to the rumours.
Yeah, well, we'll do some... I'll run through some quick, and we'll not really go into them. And it's
a bit of a whistle stop.
Kellen Fisher, the right-back, Norwich to Hull. Norwich have just kicked it out the door. Alan Brown, Sunderland to Blackburn. It'd be a good move for Alan Brown and a good move for Blackburn, the centre midfielder. Somebody had a tuck at the Blades a couple of years ago when he were at Norwich. I wouldn't have minded him at all. Yeah. Sebastian Berhalter, Canadian, moving from Vancouver to Middlesbrough. I think that might be who the guy was talking about.
Yes, it is, yeah.
We've got a guy from Leuven in Belgium going to Derby. Chukwuemeka Ekwuemezi. There you go. You can have that one. I've been working on that for a couple of hours.
Nice. I can tell. You've done a good job, mate.
And then Abu Kamara has been linked from Hull to Charlton, along with Nathan Redmond, who is also on trial at Charlton. They're looking for a right winger.
Abu Kamara from Hull.
The guy who we were linked with earlier in the window, which is basically was his agent just doing the rounds, I think. Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
I think it might be a decent deal. That again, they're doing bits, aren't they? So, okay, mate. Okay. Any more?
Yeah, let's have a look at some of the decent ones that we know about that look like they could go in. So, Smodic, Ipswich to Derby, Bristol City or Birmingham. And I know you were at Derby last year. Didn't set it out alight really at Derby. I think he fits at Birmingham. I think he'd be a good player at Birmingham City.
I think he fits at Birmingham. To be honest, Sammy Smodic, I think, is regressing to his natural level. Yeah. And I don't mean that in a too negative a way. It's not a compliment, obviously, but I think he's had a purple patch of an 18-month period where I'm not saying he can't get to those levels again. He had a good season for Blackburn where they were struggling at the bottom end of the table and he was scoring for fun. But he's certainly not a Premier League player. And teams have discovered that he hasn't really made an impact at the top end of the Championship, really, if we're being right. So I think he's a good to very good Championship player and has the potential to reach those heights again where he could be really impactful. But it strikes me as a similar regression as Ben Brereton Diaz, really. So he, obviously, for that short period at Blackburn before he left for Villarreal, was a great player.
Yeah.
really, really powerful in the division, and was seen as a top prospect that will likely end up in the Premier League. Well, it hasn't quite happened, and he's sort of levelled out as a top or a good Championship player that can still have an impact at this level. But I think Sammy Smodics I think he'd be a good signing for a Birmingham or a Bristol City or a Sheffield United if we needed somebody in that position at the moment, because that's where we are. Which I think he's a playoff chasing side level of player. I could see him back at a Derby or somebody like that. So
So we'll move on to Millwall, who are looking like they could be losing Femi Aziz, the right winger, to Ipswich or Hull, moving up to the Premier League.
Yeah, no shock really. He was a very good player for Millwall last season. I don't fear for Millwall so much with losing him. I think they had, they've proven last season that they can hang at the top of the division, and I think that will be quite appealing to a lot of potential signings. They are a club that needs to sell to be able to continue to go about the business, but they did it last season. Tanganga won their player of the season, and they sold him in the summer to us. Didn't skip a beat. So
their strength was the defence last year, Millwall, and they lost their top defender.
Yeah, and if you're a Millwall fan, you're probably saying, "What's going on here? Why are we selling him to a divisional rival?" A bit like we've said about Andre Brooks, really, I suppose. Wins our players' player, and then we sell him to Norwich. But there's every chance we could finish above Norwich next season. So it's part of the wheeling dealing you have to do as a Championship club, because you haven't got the finance to keep going and going and going. It might appear as though you have, but Swansea are doing all these deals. We forget that they've sold Ethan Galbraith, and they also might have a deal in place to sell Vipotnik, so they might end up in net profit despite doing this £10, £11 dealings. So there's usually method behind the madness. Sometimes it's just an owner going for it, but other times I think they have to operate fairly sensibly. And I think this is Millwall just doing what they've done in the past few seasons. Yeah.
So we'll move on to Brian de Keersmaker, somebody I do like, but you did pull up that he has been injury prone at the end of last season, but was ranked quite high as a midfield player in the FootMob rankings of stats. When we saw him, he was okay. Nothing great. Blackburn, QPR and Charlton. Blackburn being linked with a lot of midfielders, a real lot, which shows a need, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
QPR would be a very good move for him. They have got a couple of good players. I don't know if Varane's left, but they had Varane and they had the other big lad. I can't think of his name at the moment, in the middle of the park.
Madsen.
Madsen, who I like a lot. I like him more than Varane, actually. Madsen, I wouldn't mind him at Lane. If they get the Keersmaker as well, that's a really good three in there. That's a really good three.
I like him. And when he was playing for Oxford, he looked decent. And the problem I have with him, and I'm sorry to cast this aspersion, but I think he has ironically that Blackburn are interested in him, but I think he's got a bit of Todd Cantwell-itis, which is a fairly new phenomena, which is where if your club starts to struggle, then you suddenly become unavailable for selection. And I don't fancy it itis. So the Keersmaker, I'm not saying it weren't a genuine injury at first, but did he want to come back into a dogfight and really, did he, give it absolutely everything? He might have done. I might be doing him a disservice, but I don't think you'd have got that same reaction from Cameron Brannigan as you got from the Keersmaker.
So, totally agree with you. Yeah, so Cameron Brannigan.
And I would have Brannigan at the Lane, to be honest. He's that type of bulldog that we need, really. Yeah. But I don't know if I would want somebody like I think he's a bit of not a luxury player, because I don't think he's good enough to be a luxury player. I think he's a good footballer, and he proved that he can hang at Championship level. So I'm not saying he'd be a bad signing for any of those sides, but I would question his attitude, because look, Oxford struggled without him, no doubt about it, which, that might lead into how good a player he is. But also if he's not come back, and, he was out from January, I think, and then weren't seen again.
And Brannigan was out for a few weeks as well, which they fell off a cliff, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. And, they had Lancashire up top leading, and Hellick, the absolute rock at the back, who I absolutely love. But other than that, they were struggling, weren't they? So it's, I've got my eye on the Keersmaker. I wouldn't want United linked with him at this stage, because I don't think he's up for the fight.
Hellick with a 650k release clause, by the way.
Don't I know it, mate? Don't I know it?
So we'll
I wonder if they could afford McGuinness's wages.
Oh, bless you. I doubt it.
No, I doubt it at all.
We'll move past
Huge
Ash
transfer
Phillips.
embargo.
Exactly. We'll move past Ashley Phillips because we covered that. Spurs to Borough. We'll go to Emmanuel Latte Lat who used to be at Middlesbrough.
He did.
Atlanta in America to Burnley, being linked with him. Now, if that's where they're shopping, you got to worry about him because he didn't rip it up, did he? He didn't rip it up at all.
He did well in Championship, though, didn't he?
It weren't great. You wouldn't have been absolutely worried about him when you were playing him.
He went through a really good spell in Championship, I would say. But having said that, it wouldn't be somebody that strikes fear into me as if he comes back to the Championship. So it's not.
Well, he did better than I thought. Yeah, he did better than I thought actually. He got 27 in 59 over 2 seasons.
That's really good.
Yeah, it's not bad. Sorry, I've done him a disservice, but I still wouldn't be worried about him.
No, what's he done in America since he's been over there?
Very little. 9 in 44.
In a poor league as well, it has to be said. So, again, I don't think... Did he go over there for lifestyle? Because he was a good player onto a good thing at Middlesbrough. Yeah. And again, I question the intent. I'm not... And I've just before said that you can't begrudge Somerville going for lifestyle. So I'm not having a pop at him as a person or as a choice or anything like that. But would I want him coming back and being our star signing to lead the line and lead us back to promotion? I'm not sure he's the one that I'd be going for over everybody. If you're going to spend that sort of money, then Burnley should have been in Will Lancashire race for me. That's the sort of thing I'd be looking at. So it don't mean he'll be a bad signing. He might come back and hit the ground running. He's obviously proven in the Championship and done well for Borough previously. But it doesn't strike fear into me. And I think, as we're going to come on to Sheffield United in a second, but there's a lot of these signings, and I suppose I've said it before, but I'm not jealous of any other clubs really at the moment. Not signings that we would be in the mix for at all.
So a couple of keepers. Victor Johansson being whispered about a move to Wolves if they lose their keeper. They'd like to take him, and who wouldn't want to take him as a fantastic keeper? And Zetterstrom, the links now are to Leon because Leeds look like they moved away from him. So over to Leon, 2 really good keepers that could be leaving. Well, Stoke to Wolves, that's awful for Stoke. But you could see why he'd do it.
Yeah, you
really could.
If he leaves Stoke, then I fear for Stoke. It's a huge get for Wolves, which is a daft thing to say, really, because they're a really strong relegated side coming down. But he's an instant upgrade for them, and that is a huge compliment to Johansson, who you would comfortably say is in the top 2 or 3 goalkeepers in the league. Most would say he's probably the best, I would say. Certainly from those that we've seen, taking relegated goalkeepers into account, I suppose. But, so that'd strengthen Wolves, who are already going to be strong. It would significantly weaken Stoke, I would say.
It all depends on Sarr and Johnston leaving. They're being linked with moves away. And then it would only leave them with Bentley as cover. So
I suppose it's a much of a much. I'm not a huge Sarr fan, but it's a much of a muchness with Johnston because I think he's a very good goalkeeper. Obviously, he's getting on a little bit now, but if they kept him, they'd still have a really strong goalkeeper. So it does strengthen Wolves. I still think he's an upgrade on that, but not by loads. Whereas Stoke, it's a huge blow to Stoke. With Zetterstrom leaving Derby, obviously Leeds have moved on to James Trafford, which is a huge upgrade on Zetterstrom. Yeah. So, yes, Zetterstrom's a good goalkeeper. It would be a blow to Derby, but I think there are enough good goalkeepers about. And you can set the same for Stoke as well. I just don't think Stoke have got the same pulling power as Derby at the moment. They've got the money, which can pull them up alongside them, but I think Derby are on the up, and I think Stoke are just wobbling a little bit. There's plenty of good goalkeepers about that you can pick up on loan. I think
the thing about Stoke as well, at some point they've got to stop spending because of the new squad cost ratio, and they are throwing a lot of money about with deals caught. That they've. The striker that wasn't very good, and they were tied into a £6 million deal with him.
Schmidt.
I mean, some of this money.
There's a lot of these sort of people looking over at other clubs with envious eyes. Swansea look to be spending, Stoke are spending, other clubs are spending, spend. There will come a time that if Sheffield United can ride this wave and not be cut adrift of these sides, which I don't think we will be cut adrift of any of them in terms of, you know, squad quality overall. We might be a little bit behind one or two of them if we don't go up. But I think if we can hang in around the same sort of balance as them, I think some of these will be in trouble in next year, year after, that sort of thing. If they're not doing it as they should be doing it, so we'll see how it plays out. But I'm with you. I'm not saying they haven't had it to spend, so they can spend it. But it might be a case of blowing a lot of it up front and hoping that over the next 3 years they can get up and use that, you know, what they've spent to usurp the rules. So we'll see. That
squad cost ratio, it looks like it's going to be, for us, it's going to be short-term pain and long-term gain.
It does,
because obviously we're a bigger club in this division, not, you know, but so we'll wait and see. So a striker linked to be going out. Bids have already come in. Nestori Irankunda, the Aussie, Sporting Lisbon and Celta Vigo, both being pushed back at the moment, but look like they're going to come back with bids. That will hurt Watford a lot.
It will, and the other thing that'll hurt, I think they signed him for £3 million from Bayern, which was a really strange but good signing for Watford. You know, anybody that comes from Bayern Munich,
they've also just bought out the sell-on clause as well.
Not quite. So
that's what I read.
It was a 50% sell-on clause.
Wow.
And they have bought it down to 40%. So they've bought 10% back. Still got a 40% sell-on to Bayern Munich. So they'll make a bit of money on it. They won't make a lot of money on it. But obviously they're holding out for a huge fee, because you wouldn't be buying out a small percentage of it if you didn't think the fee was going to come. So Irankunda probably does go, and that'll be 2 of the 3 of Watford's main men gone. And it only leaves Imran Louza, who I still think he's one of the best in the division, although he had a disappointing second half of the season. He can't be happy there. He can't be happy to stay there with what's going on at that club. We'll have to wait and see, mate. We'll have to wait and see what happens.
And the final one, mate, is your star, Cameron Archer. So it looks like he could be on his way to West Brom for £3 million, which is not much money for Cameron Archer. A really good deal. But when you look at him, he hasn't hit double figures since 22-23 when he was with Middlesbrough.
I'd take him, mate.
I know you like him.
That'll be no surprise to anybody.
No.
I think
He's
West Brom have got
He's had double figures once.
West Brom have got a real player there at £3 million.
If they get him.
Honestly, we don't need a striker at minute, which is a shame. No. Do you know, if Tyrese Campbell doesn't sign his deal, we need to be in this race, because I think I'm telling you, Cameron Archer, I've said it for a long time and I've been ridiculed for it, and I understand why. But I think we'll rule that. So in
his last 3 years in the league, he scored 10 goals. In the last 3 seasons, seasons.
I'm not having this, by the way, because he's been playing Premier League football.
Oh yeah, he has. Scored 4 for us, 2 for Southampton in Premier League.
And how many
29 games for us, 35 for Southampton.
How many minutes?
1,433, 1,835.
All right. Whatever.
Over 20 games for us, really.
As a lone striker.
Well, sometimes he was played off the right, weren't he?
And played off the right, played off the left.
Yeah.
Come on, Eki, what are you doing?
Well, well, that finishes. I wanted to finish on Cameron Archer just to give you a little time to have with your star boy that you really like. So that's all they've done, Jim. That's all the rumours that we've got so far.
Thanks, mate. We'll come on to Sheffield United after this. I'll just catch up with the rest of the comments. You may not be big enough. Don't be harsh on yourself, says Joe. But you're being relevant enough to get the word out as an avalanche effect. The wrong people start hearing it and suddenly it's on fire. Yeah, I think that's probably fair. Maniac says, I think clubs should not buy a player if there is a buyback. Where is the incentive to buy a player, then see him go back? Thing is, like, it depends how big the selling club is. Is there really a chance? Will Lancashire could score 20 goals for Middlesbrough next season and they get promoted? The only reason that Tottenham are going to buy him is to sell him on again, really.
Yeah.
So it's not and it might be a buyback for 40 million. So if we don't know the deals that's been worked out. Chris says, Kieran Maguire was very concerned about United in the latest second tier video today. I've not seen it yet, but I have been sent it, so I'll give it a watch. I'm not overly concerned about United. And we have to remember, I know Kieran Maguire looks at the books and things like that, and I'm certainly not claiming to know his job better than him, but I do know my club better than him, and I'm not concerned about what we know that finances are tight, but I'm not. He's looking outside in for a lot of it. We're inside trying to figure it out.
Yeah. And
I would much rather be in that position than listen to somebody from outside talking about it. Again, I don't mean to do his position down. He's a very, very good, very knowledgeable, very experienced, and he may know a lot. He may have seen different things to us. But from what I know, which isn't a lot, but from the people I talk to that do know more, not overly concerned at the moment. Max says, honestly, this is dragging on. I respect the club could be doing stuff behind the scenes, but surely we could be close to stuff. Like this stuff should have started around February last year. Not sure at the minute. QPR have been heavily linked with Glenn Kamara, and Aid says he's brilliant. He played one forward pass for Leeds in 23-27.
We were linked. We've been linked with last two windows, haven't we? Apart from
we
this
have,
one.
yeah. Well, we're just trying to be Leeds, aren't we? So, I just hope we don't have another ending to a transfer window like last year, where I do think there was some panic buys, not half, Mac. We really must have known the key positions we needed and should have sorted it up the Ramble. Joe says, we just needed someone to come in for Madsen, Varane, assuming we keep Varane. Doesn't need to be great all the time. Let's have a look. Aid says, starting to panic a bit now. List after list of other teams doing business for weeks now. We're not making any moves. Any suggestion in pre-season that Wilder is developing One as a left or right forward? If not, why not? It would help the coffers. One not involved in the latest friendly at all. Or in the youth
injured.
friendly.
Injured.
Was he? Okay.
That's what they said. Said he had a knock.
Okay. I'll take that. I didn't hear that. And I don't mean, I'll have a different. I mean, I didn't actually hear that. So okay. Paul says, can't we sell Cannon and Campbell to raise money? Don't think we'll finish above Norwich, but at least we can live in hope up the Blades, up the Ramble. We can. You've got to have willing buyers. And Cannon started well pre-season. There's Lee started the show by saying he's not giving up on him at all, and there will be people like that. If he starts off well, which I know it doesn't seem likely because of his previous record, but he could. And Campbell, we need to see if he's going to sign a new deal. We certainly won't get a lot of money for him while he's only got a year left on his contract. So,
what we'll say about Cannon, I watched him against Huddersfield on, I think, was it Tuesday or Wednesday?
Yeah.
His movement were good. He put himself about, really put himself about, against the Huddersfield back line. Should have had two. One was a good save. One he should have finished. I was quite impressed by him, but again, levels, and it's pre-season.
Correct. Joe says, Cam Archer, for that, when you've paid as much as you have for Cannon, it must burn from the outside looking in. Jimmy, stop taking them tablets. Archer, Douglas Bader would score more goals. Don't know who that is. Don't know who that is.
Don't you know who it is? It was a RAF pilot who lost both his legs in the Second World War.
Oh, right. Okay, I should have known that, to be fair. My dad will be disappointed that I didn't know that. Robbo on the last day of the window wouldn't surprise me. Don't, Ed. Don't. Don't. Archer's only 24, 2-3 mil is a bargain. Thank you, Bean. If he would be guaranteed double figures. Yeah. Archer's in the past, pal. We won't get to that same level, says Nige. Always remember when we played Middlesbrough at home and he absolutely destroyed us. Yes, I do too. Archer and Bamford, goals galore, says the blunt Yorkshireman.
Every dog has the day. Every dog has
my
the day.
language. We have to get players out before we get them in. Or do we have to get players out before we get them in? Up the Blades, up the Ramble. So we've been talking a lot about this in our chats and things like that. And ultimately, we've got McGuinness that we want out. We've got Zatterstrom that we want out. We've got Reece Norrington-Davies that we want out. There's probably somebody else who I'm forgetting. Gerbich.
Okaki as well, Gerbich.
Okaki. We are talking millions of pounds in wages there. And probably not a lot on transfer fees, but millions of pounds in wages. So, yes, we do need to get players out before we are. Because if you're a chairman of a club, and I'm not saying this is what our owners are saying, but why would I fork out a transfer fee for Harry Souttar to come and be one of our top earners, because he would, when you've got a 25 grand a week centre midfielder who you also paid 4 or 5 million quid for sat behind him on the bench. Get him gone first, and then we'll talk about replacing him with a better player. So, what do we know about Sheffield United? And I'm sure, Lee, do you want to start off with what's going on at Sheffield United, and then I'll go into it? How do you want to do it?
Like everybody knows, we've had Matt Doherty come in. I'm all for it. I think it's a very sensible move from the Blades.
Really
covers
good.
a couple of positions.
Can I say as well on that? Sorry to interrupt you, Lee, because it was something that pleasantly surprised me. How many Blades are of that opinion as well? I certainly am. I thought that I've seen bits of negativity. You get that everywhere, and people aren't all going to agree. But I thought there'd be a lot of pushback on that signing, wrongly, and I'm really pleasantly surprised that it's gone down as well as it has, because I think it's a really smart bit of business from Sheffield United. That I don't expect it to be a game-changing signing, but I think it's a step in the right direction. Again, like Donovan, it's not a player that any of us would have had on our list because not a lot of us knew about him. Looks very promising at the moment. We'll hope, obviously, he missed the sit the other day, but these things happen with young lads. Fairly light for light with Brooks from what we've seen so far, but very quick, very direct. And Doherty, we need some experience, some decent competition at right back, somebody who's reliable. He's been a captain for Wolves for years. Yep. There's so many upsides to this. I really liked his interview as well, because it was a very mature interview. It wasn't I often don't, and I probably shouldn't say this because it's true. I often don't listen to new signing interviews that much because I think it's rinse and repeat.
They don't say out, do they? Yeah, they
don't say anything. They say, "I love to." It's a brilliant club. I've always been here and played, and it's been, I've been really impressed by the fans. All this sort of stuff. It's cookie cutter stuff, really. Yeah. But there were a couple of bits he said in there, which was, it wasn't a no-brainer to come here, because I'm in the last couple of years of my career, and it needs to be the right decision for me. I had heard, and this is me pulling curtain back a little bit, that there was a little bit of concern about this signing. So I'd heard a couple of days before it actually happened, and this is how I was able to get the video together that went live just as he signed, because that were a recorded video. So yes, I'd heard this one early. The information I had was there was some concern behind the scenes because he didn't seem that interested. And that was a worry. Mm-hmm. But listening to him, it's not that at all. That's the assumption, and that would be the assumption from anybody that's not dealing with it. But from what he said, it's a really big decision, this, on what he's going to do. He's probably going to have to move house. He's probably going to have to, relocate. He could have he's a good enough player to get a move closer to. You can't tell me that Birmingham wouldn't have given him a deal, probably on less money, but he could have got a deal that had suited him better and his family better.
Bristol City.
He's had to really think about this as a move. West Brom would have, these sort of. I know it's a Wolves rivalry, but in terms of location and what suits the player, and I love that. That was not I always wanted to play for a club like this. Well, it'd be a lie anyway, because he's come from a bigger club than us. So it's real, it's genuine, and the fact that I don't want that to get misconstrued by anybody thinking he were difficult, but it were a case of, well, he looked like he weren't sure at times with what he would. Well, that's fine though, and ultimately he's thought about it and he's chosen to sign for us. If you don't think that any player that's about to sign for us doesn't think twice about it, then we're lying to ourselves. So the fact that he's openly willing to talk about it, I thought were really impressive, particularly because he's probably been told he's not a starter. There's no guarantees you're coming in here and starting. We've already got a very good right back in Femi Siriki. You will be used. You're not wasting your time coming here, but you've got to earn the shirt. So I were really enthused by that. Sorry to go on about it a little bit, but it was something that I hadn't had a chance to talk about yet, and I thought were really, really good in his interview.
Well, we speak every week about experience, leadership. And this is 53 games for Ireland. Like you said, he's captained Ireland. Yeah. He's captained his country. He's captained Wolves. Did he captain Tottenham for a couple of games as well, I think?
Yeah, I think he might have done. Yeah.
So it's everything we need. And also, hopefully, he's a good voice in that changing room. Some of these young lads, especially somebody like Siriki, who might need a little direction. I mean, I don't know him personally. But he might need a bit of direction now and again. So I think really sensible signing by Blades, and I'm all here for it.
Yeah, me too, mate. Me too.
So we've had an out. We were talking about this on Three Mardy Blades last Monday, or was it the Tuesday before, or whenever we recorded it?
It were a week last Tuesday, I think it was.
When we did the Back the Boss, and we were talking about how we hoard young players and they need to get out. And we brought up Sachdev, and I said that, this is his last year in his contract. So if he doesn't do it for us, he needs to be showing his wares somewhere. So at least if we don't take him, he's got a career in this game.
Yep.
And luckily he's gone out to the National League with Boston, same as Faxon has. Instant recall as well at any point if we ever needed him or if we were short.
Which is same for anybody in National League, isn't it?
Correct. It's a clever move for him, and it's a clever move for the club. And I think it's brilliant.
Completely agree. This is another one that we broke in the Platinum chat, that Sachdev was going to Boston on loan. And I don't think Jamie Dumpling got that one, did he? I'm not sure he were able to read that one. So Sachdev till January as well, which I think is really smart to, again, reassess his options. I'm quite content with this as a relationship going forward. Usually, when a player's I think he's in the last year of his contract. I know you've said that. I think I'm in the same thought process. Might have a +1. We're not entirely sure. But even if it is the last 6 months, I think he's a player that's gone through a significant injury, and we've stuck by him, and we do think highly of him as a player. So all these things have got to fit into place. But I think there'll be a willingness on both parties to sign an extension if that's what we decide to do and all that sort of thing. I don't think it'll be a case of, well, I'm gonna assess my options, lads, and see what happens. I think it'll be a case of if Sheffield United offer him another deal, I think he'll be more than willing to come down and sit down at the table and talk about it. Yeah. So and keep an eye on Sachdev, because obviously pre-horrific injury, he was a very good prospect, and I'm really keen to see how he kicks on. So he's gonna Boston, and for the keen-eyed Blades out there, that is Boston, where Luke Faxon has also gone on loan. And just to reiterate, these are in the National League. There is no transfer window, so there is no you can recall your players at any time. So I know United have been linked with somebody had said that we were trying to get a new goalkeeper in. I'm not convinced we will get a goalkeeper in, because we can bring Luke Faxon in at any time, because he can get an automatic recall. So anyway, next up, Lee.
A couple of contracts. One that happened while you were away.
Of course.
And that's the reason we did Back the Boss the Tuesday before it went live on the Monday. And on the Sunday night, was it the Sunday or was it the Thursday? You were on all day anyway. Was it Friday or Saturday?
Yeah.
It comes out that Chris Wilder signed a new...
Saturday, I think it was, yeah. A
new contract, a 2-year extension basically till June 2028. So for me, some Blades won't like it. Some Blades are really against Chris Wilder, don't see what he brings, thinks his time is done. For me, I think it's very positive. It gives the figurehead security, and then players can now see, well, he's here for the next 2 years. We did speak about it on Three Mardy Blades, if people want to look at it, about long-term, short-term, mid-term. And I think it's great, but I am a Wilder fan. So
yeah, as am I, as everybody knows we are. Obviously got wind of this happening before the Back the Boss thing. We want that it might happen, not that it was definitely happening. And then we wanted to tap into it, not in case it happened, but with our thought. I think we even mentioned that it had been murmured in certain corners that it might be happening. So it's not a case of we know stuff and we're not telling people. We always try and be straight up with everything. And rumours that Wilder's going to sign a new contract, this is why we think he needs to do it, or this is what I think about it. What do you think, Lee? What do you think, Dave? And we were all on the similar page with it. Certainly me and Lee. Dave gave his reasonings for both sides, really, which he is great at doing.
He's very good, yeah.
But ultimately, Wilder's signed, and I think it's brilliant. I think it's what's needed. I think particularly at times like this, where we're in a transitional period and he comes into his own, he is a bit of an X factor for us. He knows how to sell the club. People know that he's going to be here, and they're signing for Chris Wilder now. So, look, anything could happen. Could have a crap 3 months at start of season, and it's a new manager again. But as far as you can trust him just signing a new contract now, it's more than likely that he's going to be here at least for the short to medium term. So it's good when we're trying to bring players in and be part of this new journey with us and rebuild. Love it.
And one that's been mulled about, Jamal Baptiste, looking like he could get a new deal, which, from what we've seen, went away a boy and he's come back a beast, basically.
Yes.
You can see he's worked on himself really well and to make himself that centre-half, because he came as a right-back, I believe, when we first signed him.
Did he?
I'm sure he played right-back a few times for us.
He might have played there. I thought he'd always been a centre-half. And you look at him and you realise he's a centre-half, don't you? Yeah. Otherwise, he's a Mika Richards, isn't he? Let's be right.
Correct. But he wasn't, was he? He wasn't when he came.
He wasn't. He's always had a good frame, but he looks like an athlete now. And
he does.
He's come back, and he reminds me a little bit, just the look of him, as the late great Ugo Ekiog. You know what I mean? In terms of how he carries himself, with how stocky he is. And
it looks broader.
Yeah. He's Jamal Baptiste has certainly made an impression this pre-season, and reports are from Danny Hall that United are considering offering him improved terms. His deal isn't, from what I understand, isn't close to running out, but if it's going to signal a more prominent role within the first team. It doesn't mean we're not going to sign a centre half and that he'll be the one to partner Jaff, but it's a desert, certainly on the pre-season performances, the shape he's got himself in. There's all sorts of things that go into these sort of decisions. We only see the little bits of performance in the games, but also there'll be notes made behind the scenes about, firstly, how he did at Rotherham, which not a lot of Blades know, if we're being honest with each other, but United will, because they'll have been scouting him and watching him. How he looks after himself, how he presents himself in and around the club, how he is professionally as well. I think that will be taken into consideration. He's come back a beast, and that doesn't happen by accident. It's not like he's just grown into his body. He has obviously grafted in the closed season to get him pack more muscle on, more size. It's the sort of work ethic you want in and amongst your team. So all power to the lad. He's not really put a foot wrong this pre-season, to be fair. We always seem to have this at Sheffield United, and we're very fortunate. It's a big emphasis we have on youth. But he looks like he's the next one off the conveyor belt. And yes, he's got a background at Man City and West Ham, which is why we picked him up. But so did David Brooks, Sidney Petken from Arsenal. You know, they don't have to come and be Sheffield boys just to be good Sheffield United players. But he certainly looks like he's going to be another one that's going to be worth something to us in the future, whether that's in the team or on the books.
Yeah. So. He in the games that we've seen pre-season, he's looked equal, if not slightly better at times than Tanganga has.
Absolutely.
And he's definitely the number 2 at the moment. You know, he's pushed McGuinness.
It's no accident that he's been left on last. All the changes have been made, and he's often been the last one to be substituted off, or in the last phase of substitutes, because he's trusted. And if he's not trusted, he's certainly being tested to what Wilder's comfortable testing him in, and it seems to have passed every test so far.
He's got good stamina at this stage of the season to be doing that as well, which is something we want in our players.
And look, if you're a centre forward, you don't want to be coming up against Jamal Baptiste. He is a unit, and every player starts somewhere. So just because he hasn't come with a name or signed for a big fee, doesn't mean he won't grow into his own reputation. And we might have a real player on his hands there. I certainly hope so.
So we're just going into rumours, Jim, now, and obviously you've covered them really. Suits and Rabbi Matondo. If you want to give us anything that you've got, I don't know.
Rabbi Matondo, I don't know much about, if I'm honest. I don't know much about any recent progress. Harry Souttar, obviously the one that everybody wants to know about. I haven't got the news that everybody wants to hear. I haven't got the scoop that he is definitely signing with Sheffield United. What I can tell you is Wilder had a conversation with him when he first came back from the World Cup, and it was all very positive noises. I've also heard, same as what Daniel's reported today, is that we went in with a loan to buy, whether that was an option or an obligation, and Leicester have said, no, we want a straight sale. The rumours are that they want between 9 and 10. We've offered 4, and obviously we're going to have to meet somewhere. We want to obviously get the deal done. There's rumours that Harry Souttar, I can't confirm this, but I've seen online that there's rumours that Harry Souttar's put a transfer request in. From what I understand, we are his preferred option. It doesn't mean we get Harry Souttar. That has to be the thing that people have to understand with this. It doesn't mean just because he wants to come to us. Other players have wanted that in the past, and they've been outbid, and Sheffield United can't meet the same demands as other clubs. Chris Wilder's top target. At the moment, I would probably put it as 70-30 that he comes as a permanent signing. I'm quite positive that it will happen, but it's by no means a done deal. So he will have other interest as well. He will obviously entertain that. His agent would not be doing his job if he didn't. And, you know, we can be his preferred destination all we like, but at one stage we might have been Dale Fry's preferred destination.
Correct, yeah.
So we have to take it as it is at the moment. I don't want anybody running away and getting too excited about that. That is the honest feedback that I've heard from more than one person as well. That is combined information. So what's your thoughts on that, mate?
Well, just to stop people running away with it and thinking that in the last 6 days he's been linked with West Ham, us, Stoke, Cagliari and Wrexham.
Yeah, I think there's some lazy journalism going on, if I'm honest, with stuff like that.
Yeah, there is with Wrexham and West Ham. I would have thought straight away.
Yeah,
I think Stoke's a link because he's played there before.
Yeah. And I'm sure they want him back. I'm sure they would.
But his agent's doing his job as well, isn't he?
Of course he is. You know.
I
don't know about any other club.
I'm all for suits. Anything up to 5-6 mil, I'd be more than happy. It's a lot of our budget, and somebody's going to have to go. But we're resigned to losing Peck, I think, at least. You know, and Brooks has already gone, so we should have a little bit to spend, and on top of what we've already got, I'm sure that's got to, and it must be Wilder's number one. It must be Wilder's number one. Yeah,
it is Wilder's number one from what I understand. But that again, there has to be a 1, 2, 3, 4, don't there?
Yeah.
On every list. So
Ashley Phillips.
We've been here before where Ollie Watkins were number one on his list and Matty Cash were number one on his list for right back and stuff like this, and it don't always happen. So the cards have to fall in the right order. At the moment, I think it's looking positive. The other bit of news that I wanted to talk about, which I don't think has been reported anywhere really, but again I've been given the nod that I can share it. We rejected a bid for Harrison Burrows in the last week, and I dropped this in the Platinum chat as well, and it sort of set tails wagging a little bit in terms of who could it be. Oh, well, it must be Norwich. It must be West Ham. West Ham was the one that kept coming back. It were QPR.
Oh.
It were QPR with a £3.5 million bid.
Yeah, it's not enough.
It's not enough. It's more than what we paid for him, but it's not enough. Whether they come back, I don't know. But it's more ambitious bids from QPR that make you wonder about their strategy this season. They're another one that's possibly going for it. I think there's a strong chance Harrison Burrows leaves this summer. I'm not saying he's forcing it or anything like that. I don't think he is. I've not heard anything of the sort. But he is second fiddle, or he's most likely to be second fiddle, and has a job on getting in front of a very good Sam McCallum at the minute, who's much improved. And United already have a built-in backup with Harry McGlinchey there, who we think very highly of. Not just us fans that have seen him and like what we've seen so far, but United think highly of him as well. There's also Reece Norrington-Davies still on the books, who we are trying to get out. But if Burrows goes, there won't be as much of an urgency to get Norrington-Davies out, because we'll then have a left back, a first-team left back backup, if you like. So, and it leaves the option for McGlinchey to go out on loan or something like that. So, yeah, I think this is just a guess as well, but I would be surprised if both Peck and Burrows now, rather than Hamer, I think Burrows is more likely to leave than Hamer now this window. So
I'm all right with that. I think
there'll be Burrows a lot of blades all right with it, because if it means we keep Gus Hamer, and I don't mean renew Gus Hamer. I mean, I think Gus Hamer sees the season out, which in itself is another headache for United. So it's another thing that we have to make a decision on. It's not just because we won't get the bids or anything like that, or we can hold on to him. It's, do we want to hold on to him if he's going to go for no at the end of next season? Same with Tyrese Campbell. Strikers are a premium, and if he signs a 2-year deal, then we could maybe get a £6 million fee for him, or he could go for note at the end of next season. So we need to make decisions on those two. But I think if Burrows, we don't need a starting left back because we've already got one. And I think Peck, we've already got rotational midfielders. We know we're looking for a different type of centre midfielder anyway. I think that's probably the most, I won't say best case scenario. You want to keep your best players, but we know we're going to have to sell players. I think most United fans would be happy with selling Peck and Burrows, don't you?
Yeah, I don't think. I'm just going on to the QPR thing. I don't think QPR would suit Burrows because in a possession-hungry team where they dominate, he's a fantastic player. In a team where you're not going to have the ball all the time and have to defend, he struggles. But he has got undoubted quality. He's a really good player. Disappointing last year, very disappointing, and now we're on his back quite a bit. But there's definitely talent there. His statistics are fantastic, and if you just see those, you'd be drooling at him. I would be very happy at him, us getting £5 million for him, maybe a little bit more, to keep Gus Aimer. I think it softens the blow of Aimer leaving for free. And how much is the right amount of money for Gus to go? You know, if somebody offers $2 million, you might as well keep him, Gus.
Yeah.
Somebody offers 5, you've got to start thinking that's probably.
Yeah, I think that's where we are. I think it's a fight, and for a player of his quality, it's not enough money, but I think
it makes Hull better. It makes Hull better.
I agree. I think there's still a danger that Hull come and take him. I think that is a danger. But I think at the moment, I think it's most likely that Peck and Burrows leave. And I see what you're saying about QPR, but you think about their side, the midfield too that we've already talked about, Madsen and Varane. They've got Kone, they've got Burrell up top, they've got Ronnie Edwards at the back, they've got Piers Charles in goal now. They are becoming a strong side in the Championship now, and there's a chance that they could have a little bit more possession next season. And you know, they're building, aren't they? They're building, and they're building a young side as well. So it's going to be interesting. I'm not saying QPR will definitely come back in. They might have said, well, we're not going any higher and walked away. But that is what I'd heard on the grapevine, the reliable grapevine as it has been in recent times. So, okay.
I've actually got a couple
of
outs maybe that have been linked, but they're tenuous. Right. One is Ryan One to Rangers and Leicester. Leicester we've heard before that they'd like him, and I'm sure they'd like him on loan if we could do a deal for Suter or blah blah blah. And stuff
I'd like that. I'd like that as a scenario.
Yeah, me too. Rangers one would be them buying him. I don't think I'd like it, but money talks. Money talks.
Show us the money.
Asula money.
It'd have to be Asula money. It'd have to be Asula money.
This kid, he's got a good upside, this kid. So yet to see it carry on, because he was still in fits and spurts at Lincoln, coming on late and doing well, but not really put in a length of time where he's consistently starting games and getting through 60 minutes. So, but I do like Ryan One, and I think he will be a good player for us if we can keep him. The other one is Ukaki, was linked to a move to a unnamed Scottish team, and apparently it got pulled, but I don't know why.
Aberdeen.
Oh, right. Okay.
And they backed out.
I heard it got pulled, but I didn't know why.
Not sure why they backed out. Maybe a medical thing. It may be a diversion of targets. It may be somebody else became available that they were interested in, but he was about to go to Aberdeen, and they pulled the plug on the deal, from what I understand. So
he had been missing from the pre-season friendlies until the under-21 one the other day, wasn't it? Yeah.
And there's usually stuff to that, isn't there? Like Norrington Davis has not been involved. There'll be something to that as well. He'll have been elsewhere, maybe discussing a contract with another club or something like that. It's not come off that we don't know about, and he's come back to us. So there's all these sorts of things that none of us really know about going off all the time. The One to Leicester for Suter, I really like, in terms of we buy Suter and we sweeten the deal with a loan. One. The one I really like is that what a lot of blades, certainly in our Platinum chat, are calling for, is Harry Suter plus a bit of cash and Mark McGuinness.
It was me who put that. It was me who put it in.
It's
the first one, yeah.
It's a dream for Sheffield United. I'm not sure it's a dream for Leicester. So it's one of the. But
they need a left back as well, and we've got one, Norrington Davis. They definitely need a left back because Luke Thomas is stealing a living. Absolutely
right. They don't need another goalkeeper there. We've got a Gerbic going for a decent price as well. So yeah, there's all sorts of things flying around at the minute, but there's definitely stuff happening, and it doesn't, just because it doesn't always seem that way above the surface. And it has been a fairly quiet week at Sheffield United in terms of stuff that's not coming out. But like I said at top, I enjoy that. I think that's good. That we are quietly going about our business. It can be frustrating if you just assume that note's happening, but it also means note's getting spoiled notes getting, tainted by people knowing about it.
It's brilliant because, there's been that many rumours go around in the previous years, and sometimes it seems to have scuppered deals for us, and players have gone elsewhere.
Of course it has.
So it's quite nice that it is being held back, but also it doesn't help us, does it? It doesn't.
No. And as a content creator, you want to know about it, but and there'll still be stuff that I hear and I can't necessarily say yet, and so I've more or less emptied me can. To be fair, there's nothing really that I know that's going on that I haven't.
You were bursting with being away. You see, you're not being on.
I know. I was. I were really keen to sort of talk about it, but I'm positive that we're moving in the right direction. You're always a little bit wary that you don't want to spend too long waiting on Suter because then other things will fall. But this is the balancing act that we're in, isn't it? So,
and there's still 6 weeks till the end of the window, isn't there? 6 weeks and 2 weeks till the next game. So hopefully we'll get somebody in. But every day people do become more anxious, and I can understand it. But there is time. Just a quick one. Norrington Davis would be a good move for Bolton, in my opinion. Picking up somebody like him.
Yeah, that's not a bad shout.
I'm not here though. That's just me throwing something out there.
No, it's not a bad shout at all. Because Ed would just ask. Oh, of course he will, but he's gone.
You got a refresh.
Now, yeah, need a refresh. Ed was just asking about R&D rumours. So yeah, that's one player. Bolton brilliantly reports that Bolton are interested.
It's not a report.
I know. Right, just get through last few comments and then we'll wrap up, mate, because we are over time as we expected to be tonight, to be fair. All quiet on the new contract situation for Hamer and Campbell, looking like the Brewster and Jebbo situation is dragging on and on. Yeah, we have to make a decision on him ultimately. Cooler King says
Jebbo will never sign him. He led club on.
Yeah, 100% he did. 100% he did. For those of you that want to get rid of, what would you say is the percentage chance they'll be sold this summer, and will some be let go for less than their value to get the wages off the books? I think high percentage chance, and yes, they will be sold for less than the value to get them off the books. Mark McGuinness is the one that jumps out at me as being the one that I think will move out even if we don't get the right desired deal for him.
I also think he'll keep Chong.
Oh, I do.
And I think he'll keep Chong.
Chong is another. We've raved about Baptiste. Chong has apparently also come back in really good shape, and obviously he's not really stopped because he's been at World Cup, but he didn't have a pre-season with us last year, and I think there's a chance for redemption. I know he was slow to get going, was largely disappointing, I would probably say, in my eyes anyway, last season. But
2 good games, I think. He had 2 good games.
Yeah, it weren't great. And
he did well against Huddersfield the other day. But again, I'm talking pre-season, and it's
exactly right. But I think he'll be given a chance to see what he can do at least. Jack says, Jimmy, do you still think Wilder has the pull he did maybe 4 years ago? I'm not sure he does. No offense. I do in certain respects. I don't think he did. Certainly when the ownership initially changed, obviously they sacked him, so he didn't have that pull. But the reason I do think he does now, or they certainly highly respect his opinion and put a lot of weight into his opinion, is because they U-turned and he was the only man that they went to. The man they went to turn it around and pull it all back again was Chris Wilder. They went cap in hand to him, figuratively speaking, and said, we need you to come back. So if that isn't saying we made a huge mistake and we need you, then I don't know what is. Lee, any thoughts, mate?
Yeah, and also you're talking about the pull. It was alleged that there were quite a few deals already in place for what would have been last season.
I might have misconstrued that then. If he means the pull of players, I was thinking behind the scenes. But yeah, sorry, go on.
But there were 2 or 3 that we'd heard about that were probably in place. Yeah, more than likely. One being Jimmy Dunn when he's whispering in his ear at the end of the season and things like that.
Jimmy was done,
and then he wasn't. And then there were Harry Darling that was led to believe that was close. And
Ollie McBurney.
Quite a few. McBurney, yeah. So, we missed out on quite a lot, but they were all in place due to Chris Wilder and only Chris Wilder.
Yeah. I don't think Ryan Brewster leaves if Wilder were in charge, to be honest. Were Wilder still there when Brewster left?
Yeah.
Were he?
Yeah, because he left last season, which is Sayesh. He didn't give him a new contract, though, did he?
That's what I'm on about. We were negotiating with him still, weren't we?
We were talking to him, whether we were really negotiating.
I know Wilder really liked it, and I don't think Ryan Brewster's a game changer, by the way, but the McBurney one stings more than most. In
hindsight,
fair. He's Baptiste on the Oxford Natural. He certainly is, mate. Yeah, I've sorted him out. Joe Geldart is for sale for $3 million, says Aid. 15 grand a week is his contract. Where do you think he goes? At that sort of value, I'd want us to be in conversation.
Me too.
I thought there were certainly murmurings that it were going to be at least double that in the summer. But now that Hull don't need him or want him in the Premier League, then
that's crazy.
There might not be a market for him as much. So yeah, I'd take Joe Geldart. Absolutely.
If you're Hull and that's £3 million, you're not losing money on him. Get him in your squad.
Let him come to Sheffield United if that's where they want to.
Well, get him in your squad and then send him out on loan to us.
Yeah, we'll take him for $3 million. And played for Leicester yesterday. It says Suits did.
Suter did. Yeah,
that's all right. Is that why they didn't play against Huddersfield? Who didn't play against Huddersfield?
Burrows didn't play.
Possibly. I don't know, to be honest.
And One was injured. He said he was injured and then he was warming up after.
Yeah. You would put me right on that, to be fair. Anything on John Suter, Jim? No, nothing on John Suter. I've heard nothing about John Suter.
I think they got the wrong Suter, didn't they?
I hope so. What about a part exchange with Cannon going back to Leicester and Harry coming to United? Tom Cannon in League One would be lethal. Absolutely lethal. So it'd be a good deal for Leicester. That
penalties don't count.
Yeah, you're right. Actually, yeah, on the average then. I've heard Derby might be signing Derry Merkin, a left back from Utrecht. Oh, they need another one of those. Yeah, they need another.
Derry, Jerry, and Terry. They've got 3.
Derry, Jerry, Terry, and Berry. The Professor Bella Chow says, Trafford to your favourite team, Jim Bob. Thoughts? I've already talked about it, and it's not my favourite team. If he was signing for Sheffield United, then he won't get in. So
you have mellowed, though. You have mellowed against Leeds.
I have definitely mellowed against them. In fact, yeah, we're on about it on Proper Football today. Don's backed out because they have eyes. Don's backed out.
Aberdeen.
Aberdeen, of course. And Tex has a bit of a connection to Aberdeen, doesn't he? I think so. Ian says, One to Rangers as a Blade first and foremost, but also a Jers fan. I'm not sure how I feel about that. Great potential, but do I want to see him develop at beautiful downtown Bramall Lane or Ibrox? He also says, I still like Chong. I'm sure there's a player in there. Yeah, I think the fans are split on Chong, if I'm honest. I think that you either like him or you don't. And,
Man United don't get many wrong, though, do they?
No, they don't. That's true.
So they sold him.
Yeah, funny. Bean says, is Gerbich close to going anywhere? He'll be on a wedge. He is on a wedge, and I don't believe so, but he's one of those that you wouldn't really hear of. It wouldn't surprise me at all, Bean, if he just quietly went out on loan again to foreign climes and we let his contract expire rather than be bothered about it. Aid says, I will bring up Merkin on every one of these streams. Thank you, Aid. I appreciate that. You're doing us a good service there. Appreciate it.
And there will be a stream at the end of the transfer window where Derry Merkin's brother might move. You never know.
That's true, actually. We will all be together on that again, won't we? So, Blades Insight finishes us off tonight by saying, Cannon wouldn't go to Leicester. Can tell by the way he celebrated against them. He didn't like his time there. Oh, maybe. Okay, mate. We are at the end of the comments. We are nearly 2.25 hours deep. I want to say thank you so much for pulling yourself off your sick bed to come and join me today. I know it's been a tough day for you today. It's first day back up on your feet, really, isn't it? So, thank you for doing that, pal. Anything else you want to go over before I let you go?
No, mate, I think we've covered everything. Just hopefully, like all Blades, we want to see some positive moves coming in and out of our club. But just stick with it, Blades. There's plenty of time. I know, it can be, a bit anxious and you get a bit of anxiety about it. But, stick with it. It's a process and I'm sure we'll get there in the end.
I'm sure we will, mate. I'm sure we will. Get big Harry Suter in and everything will be all right in the world again, won't it? So...
unless he gets injured in the first couple of weeks and then it's gone.
Why would you say that?
I'm just a realist. He won't be injured ever again if he signs for us. That's one of the pulls, obviously. We've got a great record for it, haven't we?
That's a Blade of a great experience talking there. So that's fair enough. Right, we're going to let you all go. Thank you again for joining us on the Blades Ramble. If you're not already, please do like and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy what we do. But for now, come on, you red and white wizards.
Up the sunburnt Blades!